We are live. Hello. Let me type in the most important question in the chat. Did you like this episode of This Last of Us? Oh, wrong. Did you like episode 7 of season 2 of The Last of Us? Question mark. Start Q&A. Oh, what the heck? And Q&A. And Q&A. I did the wrong one. It's a poll. It's a poll I need to do. Did you like this? Did you like episode 7 of season 2 of The Last of Us? Question mark. Yes or no? Start poll. There we go. I'm gonna tell you right now. If it finishes loading. I can't vote in the poll? I thought I could vote in the polls. That is so crazy to me. Okay. I thought I could vote in the polls. This is like baffling to me. To moi. Okay. Alright. We can get into this week's discussion of The Last of Us season finale. Episode 2. No. Of the finale of season 2, episode 7 of The Last of Us. Okay. We can get into it. I'm going to tell you right now. It's a 4 out of 10 for me. 4 out of 10 for me. Tell me you don't understand The Last of Us Part 2 without telling me you don't understand The Last of Us Part 2. Like, it was definitely a build-up to it. Like, they were playing it safe the first 2 episodes. Then it kind of started going, and then with 6 it went up, and I was like, it crashed. Legitimately crashed into a million itty-bitty tiny pieces. Yes, I did not enjoy it. We could talk about the ending. What a way to end it. I said it should have cut to black. Where it cut to black. It would have been perfect. Okay, just to end it like that. Cliffhanger. Thank you very much. Last of Us loves them. It also could have, like, I'm talking Sopranos type ending. Just fade to black. They could have done it. It would have been so good. But they didn't. Because they hate us. It was just, what a crazy way to go. I mean, you start with Abby, I guess we end with Abby, right? Is that what we're supposed to do? The stadium, Seattle, day 1. Also, I forgot, I thought day 3 already happened, I'll be honest, within the TV show for Ellie. I forgot it was today episode. But, okay. So, polls up, you can vote in it if you want. I would appreciate it. Again, it's like a 4 out of 10 for me. Like, it just did not, I didn't get what it just, so much, where do we begin? I can't believe I wasted almost an entire field notebook on this show. I could have been wasting this at work where there's actually well-written television happening. Okay, here, I blame the writing. I don't blame the actors. I blame the writing. And for fully not understanding the characters. So fully not understanding. I wrote pages. Okay. Alright. So we start off the episode. We got Jesse and Dina. We see the arrows in Dina. Yeah, and then it's just like, Jesse's like, I'm gonna have to push it through, because I know, like, where the arteries are, so he kind of knows basic human anatomy, I guess, if you would, because he's Jesse, and nobody else does in the television show, apparently, unless you're a doctor. Nobody else would kind of know, allegedly. And then we see him have to push the arrow through Dina. And And then we see Ellie's back. You see Dina kind of cleaning her up. We get that scene. I was like, okay. And then, like, that whole discussion, that exchange for them, I don't think it worked for me personally. I liked it in the game. It made sense in the game. But kind of like, what they do here is interesting. And again, I'm not the type of person that wants an exact recreation of what happened in the game in the TV show, but what they're doing doesn't make sense for the characters, you know. I feel like in the TV show, I don't know the characters. I feel like I don't know Dina that well. I feel like I don't know. I need more Uncle Tommy for sure, but that's just because I want more Uncle Tommy. But like even Ellie, she's kind of getting a little hard to predict versus in the game you can in the game she's hard to predict, but you kind of know her by then. And that she made Nora talk. We kind of get that scene. She talks about a whale and a wheel, not that it's an aquarium. All of a sudden, Ellie knows aquariums. She knows aquariums, fish zoos. Maybe we'll get that scene in season 3. I mean, yeah, she goes, I made her talk. But, like, that scene is handled so much differently in the TV show than in the game. Because in the game, it's like Ellie has to deal with the weight of what she just did. And you still kind of see that there's still, that she feels, like, guilty about it. You know what I mean? Which still works in the game. But in the TV show, it's almost like, what did she say? Maybe Nora didn't get what she deserved. You know what I mean? And I'm like, excuse me? What do you mean? You know? Because that's not really necessarily what that point of the conversation is with Dina in the game. You know what I mean? It's, again, like the weight of what Ellie's doing and how far she's going. But just in the TV show, it's just, like, not there. And then she was like, she thought it'd be harder to do. Maybe it wasn't hurting her. I wrote that. I didn't write the complete quotes in there because, you know, scenes happen fast. And that she actually left her there. In the game, it's assumed that Ellie kills Nora after she tells her what she did because she can make it quick or so much worse. I don't even remember if that was a line in the TV show. It was like 2 weeks ago. But it's sort of assumed that you sort of essentially torture her. You don't see it. It's off camera. But to make her talk. And, yeah, but it's almost just like Ellie's sort of just like snapped and like lost it, especially after Nora. And I think within the game, because you do spend so much more time with these characters, that it is much more, you see the slow progression of Ellie and what she's doing and like how she's like slowly losing herself, you know what I mean? Versus within the TV show, it's almost like she snaps and she's gone. She lost herself, you know what I mean? There's not really that slow progression of it. Especially with the different motivations, because her main motivation always seems to be Dina. And then even when she's explaining it to Dina, I wrote Dina ? Because I did not agree with what Dina was saying or doing. That's not my girlfriend. Okay, not mine. Ellie tells Dina all the tea, exposition, Abby's father, the doctor, what Joel did, which I feel like, I don't know if it's clearly mentioned in the game, I don't know, but you kind of assume that Dina knows, I think, by the time she knows that she's immune, you know? And she knows that they went after Joel, you know what I mean? And she knows she's immune, but, like, I think it's just assumed that Ellie told Dina in the game. You know what I mean? So her whole explanation of it and Dina sort of like getting like shook and like kind of like sitting back and being just like, we need to go home. Like she needs some time to process it. I would definitely understand that. Anybody would, probably given that information that of what Joel did. But then it's almost like, I feel like in the game, Dina, it wouldn't change her feelings too much about it. It would just be like, that's what he did, and that's what Joel did, but she still kind of ride or dies for Ellie, you know what I mean? So I feel like in that way they changed Dina's character a little bit. That's what makes him so unpredictable, I feel like, is I feel like I don't know what type of character I'm dealing with. But yeah, so you get the whole exposition scene. So unnecessary. Dina, we need to go home. They kind of break up. It's day 3 Seattle. Again, I forgot. It was day 3, girl. And then Dina, it's almost like Ellie is so dependent on Dina to be her like moral compass. It's like, whoa. You know what I mean? Like she was so stubbornly independent with Joel. That's sort of if Dina is supposed to be that for Ellie because she was like that with Joel or something. For me, I don't think that works. I don't think that works because again, it does work in terms of just like having Dina being the main motivating factor for Ellie through like day 1 and 2 of Seattle, but like it also doesn't make sense. Like I guess it makes sense in the show, but it doesn't. I don't think it makes sense for Ellie. You know what I mean? How they're writing her. And then Dina gives Ellie the bracelet now, and then Dina just still mad about it. She's like, it's for good luck. But not after she first left her, but like, because it was when Dina couldn't go because she was feeling sick. You know what I mean? And then in the game, she gives Ellie the bracelet then, but now she just gives it to her at the end. You know what I mean? But she's still mad. But Dina's still mad for some reason. You know what I mean? And then it's like, but they need to go get Uncle Tommy, so she sort of allows Dina and Jesse to leave. Then you sort of get Ellie and Jesse. You see how smart Jesse is. Jesse guesses that Dina's pregnant. It's done differently here. Jesse's like, I can't die. I'm going to be a father. Us and my kid. That's sort of just like a little bit what like Jesse's talking about. Like, I have to be a father. You know what I mean? I can't die. I have to live for that. I have people I have to take care of. You know what I mean? So you sort of see Jesse step up in that way. But again, this episode, I feel like they kind of got Jesse right. All the previous episodes, but here it just feels like it's such like, it's not, it's technically not like a retcon, but like a retcon, because it's like, say like that Jesse would have voted no in the council meeting, doesn't line up with this character in the gate, because he's just like, if he would have asked me to go, I would have came. You know what I mean? Like, Jesse's a ride or die for his people. And except they wanted, at the end, in like the post thing, it was like that, whatchamacallit, that Jesse, like, you get to explore more of him and how he, like, ride or dies for his people. But it's just, like, it's such a bad read on who he is as a character in the game. Because in the game, he's just, like, he's, like, a really good guy. You could tell he's a good guy. He wants to take care of, like, Dina. He probably still has, like, love for her in there. It's a little bit different now that she's, like, pregnant. But he kind of, like, loves Ellie as well. And he'll allow them to be happy together. You know what I mean? But, like, in the TV show, he's written so differently. And, again, so differently here that it's just, like, crazy. And then just, like, for at the end, oh, who voted no? Somebody didn't like it either. We're all on the same page here. I give it a 4 out of 10. But, like, for, and then for it just to be, like, a makeup session with Jesse and Ellie there at the end, I'm like, okay. So what did you do all that for? Just for them to have a little argument? And then just, like, nothing? You know, I don't understand what the whole process is in the television show of building up and writing these whole scenes, doing this whole thing just for it not to matter later on. Is it just so that Ellie is just, like, in this broken cycle? Hi, Christopher. In this broken cycle of sort of just, like, making up with people before they die, or what? Okay. That I jumped a little bit ahead. Oh, I will say, what did save it was the Sky Bridge. They teased the Sky Bridge. Has me so excited because now they have to do it. Now they have to do the Sky Bridge in season 3. You know what's coming. You know what's going to happen. Hopefully we get better CGI than we did in this episode. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I love that they teased that. That definitely was a winner within this episode. It wasn't many winners, but there was that. And I did write they understand Jesse till they don't, because again, how they sort of change his character a little bit. By exploring him a little bit more, I'm like, even though it's a very small part within the game, I feel like he would not do this. You know what I mean? And then you see the wolves get a scar. They make him strip. He's naked. or no, he's a kid. That's I thought I spelled naked wrong. They sort of make him strip, and then they sort of kill him or whatever. And then Jesse's like, I'm not dying. It's not our war. And then Ellie sort of wants to insert herself in the war. I don't understand it, because it's essentially like they have to make up their mind about Ellie, because like they go after the Scar who's gonna die from the by the wolves. You know what I mean? That's not what Joel taught her. You know what I mean? Like, if that's happening, just sort of like, I don't know, remove yourself from it. Like in a way of just like, I think about Pittsburgh and from the first game, and just like how Joel kept them safe by keeping quiet and hiding. You know what I mean? And then it's just like, he's like, there's nothing we could have done for them. You know what I mean? And it has to be a lesson to Ellie in that moment. You know what I mean? But there, Ellie's just like, we can save him. What do you mean, Ellie? Ellie, even when she was driven very much by her emotion, I'll be honest, I haven't watched it. I just like your channel. Oh, thank you. I'm talking about the TV show and the game and comparing them. Like, even if when Ellie sort of loses her emotions in the game, she still is very much level-headed with her actions and what she's doing. A little bit extreme when she goes from, like, when she says, I'm not going after Tommy, I'm going after Abby. Yeah, that's a little extreme, you know what I mean? And then just, like, everything she has to go through to get to Abby is just, like, insane. Like, bloaters in the game, you know what I mean? Which, I guess, that bloater scene would have killed here, you know what I mean? There's not a lot of action here. Could have used a little bit in the last episode, just something decent, because they did the action very well so far all season. But yeah, I think Ellie just throwing herself into the war doesn't make sense, because that's not her motivating factor. If she's trying to be like save people and be on some like moral high ground, it doesn't line up with the actions. Wait, I can pretend Ellie is a weirdo, but let's stress her. It's a little bit. But yeah, so like they pretty much say that, like, when they explain it at the end of the episode, they're like, oh, Ellie saw herself in being the that kid, and that how like Joel saved her. And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, that seemed like a bit of a stretch for me from like the writing perspective. It's like they never even played the game. You know what I mean? Or maybe they played the second game and not the first game. Or they only, like, they did not do, like, the writers played it, didn't really think about, like, the motivations and the character analysis and the character arcs, and just were writing. Just based on, they watched, like, you know what, it seems like if they watch all the cinematics from the game, that's what it kind of feels like. Somebody voted yes in the poll. Really? Really? Remember that one guy? He's definitely an issue. Yo, I have so many mixed emotions. Mr. Caskell, you made it. I'm excited you're here. I'm assuming you voted yes, Mr. Caskell. It's like a 4 out of 10 for me. Honestly, it is. I'm kind of getting through the episode right now. But I think it's just weird that Ellie wants to involve herself in it. Because in the game she doesn't, because it has nothing to do with her. They're just in her way of her goal, which is Abby, and killing everyone that participated in Joel's death. You know what I mean? So it just doesn't make sense to me. We got Costco. Shout out to Costco in the TV show. We got more of Isaac. I will always be down for more Isaac, or Jeffrey Wright as Isaac. He kills all the scenes he's in. It definitely makes sense. Like, they understand Isaac so well. And it is very interesting how much they introduce him in this season, rather than kind of like him being so much more tied to like Abby's story. Like, he just kind of thrown in there this season so you get the backstory on him. But then, like, that's what it is. I don't know what to say. Like, it's just, they understand Isaac so well, but like every other character just seems to be just like not understood at all. But I love Jeffrey Wright as Isaac. I think he's eating up everything that he's in. Because he's mentioned in notes when you're Ellie, but that's it. How to decipher Help decipher this episode, LMAO. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying my best. It's just a mess. It's bad writing is what it is. Okay. And then I like, what happens is in the game, you find out that Abby or Owen's AWOL and that Abby's missing through like, Joffrey is a legend. What do you mean Joffrey is a legend? What did Joffrey have to do here? Joffrey was a well-written character. Because he's a horrible character. You know what I mean? But he's well-written in the purpose that he serves of the television show, of Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? I don't know what... I'm confused about the Joffrey comment. Oh, Jeffrey? You mean Jeffrey Wright? Oh my god, it's with a J, Jeffrey, not Geoffrey. It's what it looks like, Joffrey, like from Game of Thrones. That is my bad. That is my bad. I get what you mean now, but it's Jeffrey Wright. Now you got me. Now I'm gonna look it up. Okay. I'm gonna type it. Jeffrey Wright. You spell? That's how you spell it. It confused me for a second. But yes. Yes, he is a legend. And then you sort of get, like, this is how we learn that Abby's kind of AWOL, and so is Owen. Which I guess it's fine, preparing for the assault. If, like, they could have had it be, like, over the walkies, and that's how they discover it, versus kind of, like, over the radio, which would be, like, the same exact thing, in the TV show or the game. But if you give me more Jeffrey Wright, I'll take it. I just thought it was a little weird misplacement, because you see them in preparation for the battle on the island, but Ellie literally has nothing to do with that at all. You know what I mean? Like, I would have loved that to be saved for Abby, because, like, the reveals of those events are so huge for Abby's storyline. You know what I mean? And I don't trust them as writers anymore to even do Abby's stuff justice, because Abby has the best stuff in the game. You know what I mean? She got Rat King, she has the island, she has the scene that they stole for Ellie with getting captured by the Scars. You know what I mean? It's like some of the best stuff in the game that are the most action-packed, that are just, like, so cool. But, like, they're not even, that drove me crazy, okay? It did. And then you sort of learn, like, a little bit more of Abby's role in the Wolves, which, again, you don't necessarily know that in the game. You know that she's kind of like Isaac's right-hand girl, the one he kind of like depends on, that he's close to, he trusts her the most, probably out of everybody. But here you kind of see that, like, oh, if everyone's dies, I need to know that Abby's alive so that she can lead the Wolves. Like, she's in that much of a position, which I think is a change from the game. But because there's a comment in the game where Mel says, oh, Isaac's top scar killer. You know what I mean? But I think that changes things in wanting, like, I wonder if they're going to give Abby and Isaac a father-daughter relationship. I wonder if they're going to do that, which was not very present in the game. But with how much they're writing, I would see that, I predict that as being a thing that they're going to try and write in. But, like, it's really, that's not necessarily the dynamic between Isaac and Abby in the game either. Like, that is not explored at all. That is not at all how they make the relationship seem. But I have a feeling they're going to do that for Abby, because they want to do all the parallels with Abby and Joel and Abby and Ellie. You know what I mean? So I have a feeling they're going to do that. Unfortunately. Abby leads Wolves after Isaac. Maybe she won't, because she doesn't even stay there. You said the same thing. Yeah, because it was kind of weird. Because the way the lieutenant, I think she's a lieutenant, Park was like, are you in love with her or something? You know what I mean? And he's just sort of scoffs. It's like, that kind of is just like, oh, he's not like Joel. Like, he's not willing to sacrifice everything for Abby. Like, I don't know. They're going to do something weird with it and totally forget what they wrote for season 2 to justify whatever they write in season 3. Okay? I don't know. It's just bad. Okay. But it just sort of seems like they may do that. Then we get the bookstore from the game. You see the kids section. You don't like this whole exchange between Ellie and Jesse. I don't really like because, again, they sort of get the characters when it's convenient to them, and then they don't get the characters when it's convenient to them. You know what I mean? For when they need conflict, the characters just act out of their character. You know what I mean? Like that, like it's just, there's a Cookie Monster book. I never read the book, so I can't judge that Cookie Monster book. Because there's like something in the game where it's like you go to the bookstore with Jesse and you go to the mushroom section and you're just like, mushrooms, that's weird. And then that, like, oh, Jesse's book, like, that's the one his mom used to read to him all the time. You know what I mean? Which we can assume it's the Cookie Monster one. But I digress. And then you see that Jesse loves Dina, but not like Ellie loves Dina. He sees the way they look at each other. But their relationship is quite very much strange right now between Dina and Ellie. So it's, I don't even know. It doesn't even, like, Dina was always riding for Ellie. Like, you know what I mean? And it doesn't, like, introducing that by having Jesse say that, it's like, did you see the way they looked at each other when they left? Did you see Dina's face? Did you see Dina's face? Because it does not make sense. And then you see that, oh, there's another girl for Jesse, which, okay, like, Jesse and Dina were on and off, like, okay, maybe they had different flings. Dina and Jesse were, like, not together. I'm so confused about if when they left for Seattle, if Jesse and Dina were still a thing, or if they were broken up. I don't know, because until Dina sleeps with Ellie, I guess Dina just sleeps with the most convenient person around, that it's almost like it's the TV show makes it seem like that Dina and Jesse are still together. And then they do that, so that makes sense why Jesse would be mad. Because Dina would technically be cheating on him. I hate that for Dina. How dare they do that to Dina? And how much everyone's counting on Jesse back in Jackson. It's about the community and the group of people. They try and give Jesse this moral high ground sort of thing, because you understand in the game that he's a good guy. He's a great guy. He's a good character. You know what I mean? And he's super duper likable, but it's not shoved down your throat that this guy's a good guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's a ride or die for his friends, for his people, his community. But he's not like Captain Wyoming like he's in the TV show. You know what I mean? And I love Young Mancino. I think he's done a really good job with Jesse. I blame the writing. I do. I blame the writing. Because, like, what did I read? Decisions, Jesse left, who saves Ellie. Oh, that if Jesse would have went with that girl to Mexico, who would have saved Ellie? You know what I mean? So it's like these decisions impact our lives. You know what I mean? And because of that, like, he stayed for Ellie, he stayed for Dina, he stayed for these people, essentially. And then all of a sudden, over the radio, Sniper, who is that? Right, because on the TV, it makes it seem like Jesse, but it really does. And it really just is a weird love triangle to me. Like, it introduces so much more complex relationships and emotions between Dina, Ellie, and Jesse that aren't present in the game. And there's already enough conflict within the game. Every character has their own conflict, their own motivations, their own everything. You know what I mean? But introducing that relationship within the TV show, it just makes it so much more complicated. And they try and keep on track with the game when they have to, but not when they don't have to. You know what I mean? That's why it seems much more that Ellie snaps, is because her driving motivation, it's going after the wolves, but again, it seems like it's so much more Dina in the TV show. You know what I mean? With day 1 and day 2, rather than going after the wolves. You know what I mean? So when the Nora thing happens and it's like a snap in Ellie, it seems like a snap versus like a much more gradual process. You know what I mean? And it's so weird. Like, again, that's what, like, the flashback episode is so good. Like, that's 10 out of 10. But, like, I wonder if, like, getting those scenes throughout the television show, how much, like, would we get the same feeling that we do in the game? You know what I mean? When you get those flashbacks periodically throughout, like, but then again, it's also not really driving her. Like, when you get the flashbacks within the game, after, like, every day or after certain scenes, it's almost like Ellie's, like, like Ellie's motivation. You know what I mean? In these flashbacks, these memories of Joel that she's having, they get worse and worse as much as Ellie gets much more consumed by revenge. You know? So that works like so well, but you don't get that arc in the television show at all because you get all the flashbacks in one episode. So it's complex. Then he said in the episode, I'm trying to escape Seattle with this child. I was like, huh? So you're taking Dina with you? Writing wasn't too clear. Well, because it was that, like, he found out Dina was pregnant, and it's like that, oh, he kind of has more like, he... Now I might be with you. The writing wasn't too clear. I think that he just understands that he has to, because like, they're using the thing of he's, like, such a good guy. You know what I mean? That he wants to step up as a father. He understands the responsibility of what he did, by getting Dina pregnant. So he's willing to take on that responsibility and try and be, like, a good dad. You know what I mean? Even better than... like because he's just like such a good guy, and he's just like the moral compass that everyone should be following, and he's like such a good guy, so he's gonna take that responsibility of being a dad. You know what I mean? And it also rips away Ellie's comment earlier in the show, was it episode 3 or 4? I don't remember, where Ellie's like, I'm gonna be a dad. You know what I mean? Because it's almost just like, I don't know, it just... that whole comment makes even much less sense now, because it's almost like Jesse's overtaking it and he's the father. You know what I mean? Not Ellie, which was very clear from the beginning. So the fact that they even included that comment in that line in like episode 3 or 4 makes like no sense. Like, I literally hate that line even more now. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. It just, like, the writing is so bad. It's so bad. And, like, so many people criticize the game for its writing and stuff. But, like, I'm like, they made it worse in the TV show. Like, it's, like, that's the thing with the games, is that they're so cinematic that it should be pretty clear and standard. Point A to point B, these are what you're doing, these are the motivations. You can change some things. Some of the things they change do work, some of the things absolutely do not work. But yeah, you see the sniper, they go on the radio, they hear that there's a sniper, they're pinned down. We all know it's Uncle Tommy. We know it's Uncle Tommy on the radio. And I put giraffe toy, because you see it in the game. You see it, I don't know if there's multiple giraffe toys, but I remember you see it in Eugene's bunker very early on. But this one, it was left at the thing. I don't remember if there's the writing wasn't good. Yeah, girl, it was not good. The game was that's like, it's so crazy to be just like how like critical I can be of the game and the writing of it. But I'm gonna glaze it. I'm gonna glaze it now. Like it's always just like, maybe it's always been a facade. You know what I mean? And I think it's much more the story written as it is like, I learned to accept it and in the game, and I've just learned to live with it. But I understand the motivations of the characters and the character arcs and what they're trying to say as a story. Do I like the story? No. You know what I mean? Like, I still, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's not, like, the most entertaining story. The first game is so entertaining because of the ride you're on. You know what I mean? And the whole revenge thing, like, like, the revenge being bad sort of narrative and the loss of yourself isn't necessarily an enjoyable experience. You know what I mean? And that's why they introduced Abby, because it's like Abby's redemption is kind of what makes people like her. You know what I mean? And they have to have that narrative within the game. They just don't want to give it to Ellie. And or maybe they feel like they can't give it to Ellie because Ellie has to experience it like this for some reason, you know? And I definitely understand why they can't give it to Ellie and why they feel like they have to give it to Abby. Like, I do, but I don't at the same time. Like, it makes sense for the narrative and the story they're trying to tell and the messages and the morals they're trying to shove down your throat within the second game. But it's just completely, like, not written well in the TV show. But it's like you sort of understand after you beat the game, like, why the events happened the way that they happened. In the TV show, girl, I'm lost. I am lost. And I'm, like, I'm able to remove myself so much from, like, what I know about the game and what I know about the TV show. And it just makes it so much more confusing because it's like, oh, all of a sudden it matters. Bella can give a phenomenal crying performance. Yeah, they can. And I thought that they did a really good job with Ellie in season 1. You know what I mean? I thought it was really good. And I mean, people like say like that the hyper independence that they give like Ellie, that definitely comes from the writing, not necessarily just on the actor's performance, per se. But yeah, they do a good job. I thought they did a great job as Ellie, with the first season. So like that's why I have to really look at the writing a lot more, because I'm just like, they kind of got Ellie like really well within the first season, and I just don't understand what is happening here. Because you can also look at it from last week's episode to the finale this week, how much Neil Druckmann, unfortunately, is the one person working on this TV show that understands Joel and Ellie. Unfortunately for us. That's unfortunately for us. You know what I mean? Like how they can deeply understand a character in that way. But like, it's just like how it just gets tossed out the window because they can. Because they can. The last scene of the first game tells you the second part wasn't going to be, let's go on an adventure, kiddo game. Yeah. 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 Yeah, we kind of all knew that. Because by the time you beat the first game, you know it's not all, let's go on an adventure, kiddo. Just in general. But I see your point, Trey. Where was I? I'm lost in my analysis of the episode. Where did I see? Giraffe toy. How did I get there from giraffe toy? I don't know. Anyways, Abby's in the aquarium. Oh, Ellie sees aquarium. All of a sudden, Ellie knows what an aquarium is. Because it's like such a thing in the game and also within the TV show to where it's like they're not going to know most modern, like what we know. They're not going to know what we know. Like Owen calls it in the game a fish zoo. They better keep the fish zoo in the game, in the TV show next season. They better do it. Because it just plays on Owen's charm. You know what I mean? And I don't think the actor for Owen's doing like a bad job. But I'm just like, I want them to write Owen in more depth. Because he seems like somewhat likable. Like, he's not as likable as, like, Jesse or Manny. But he's, like, a likable guy. You know what I mean? Like, you feel sorry for him. But, yeah, so I was kind of like, how does Nora not know what an aquarium is? And she's like, whale and wheel. But then Ellie knows. I'm like, okay. The same reason why Dina's hair is perfectly blown out with a Dyson every episode. Abby's in aquarium. Jesse goes after Tommy. You sort of get that exchange. I do like that exchange, but I don't think you need necessarily the buildup of the tension of them arguing to make that scene hit home. I thought that scene, that standalone sequence there when it's like, oh, there's a sniper. Jesse's kind of focused on Tommy. Ellie sees it. She's kind of a little bit more blinded by it. I'm like, okay, like that's when she's sort of making the decision. In the game, you understand that as being the point of no return for Ellie. She's not going after Uncle Tommy, and this is what's, like, so crazy. So they remove Uncle Tommy as going ahead of Ellie in the game, so he's so much more of, like, not even, like, a secondary thought. You know what I mean? Like, they have to go get Uncle Tommy, but only because he came to Seattle with Jesse. You know what I mean? Versus the conflict of introducing Ellie's drive to be like going after Uncle Tommy in the second game is almost like the lie. You understand that it's so complicated because you understand that she loves Uncle Tommy. You understand their relationship through their flashback, which I think there should have been a little bit more. Well, he was in the flashback a little bit, you know what I mean? But the one where he's sniping with her versus in the TV show, it was when he was in the TV show is when he got Ellie back from the chemical burn. That, like, you sort of see the connection that she has with her uncle. Like, true uncle-niece relationship, you know what I mean? And the fact that she's not necessarily, like, willing to go after Uncle Tommy in the game. Because at that point, I feel like you've decided with Ellie you're kind of going after Abby, and then you're not going after Uncle Tommy. At that point, you get it. In the TV show, it's just not, because it's not introduced as a plot point so much earlier within the game about Ellie's revenge, or even Uncle Tommy at all. It just feels a little random, honestly. Because it's like, oh, they need to go back. And it's like, okay, Jesse's supposed to be with Uncle Tommy. That's why we need to go get him. You know what I mean? So that decision that Ellie makes in the building with Jesse, it's almost like, yeah, well, like, what else? Like, yeah. Like, I don't know. And then also it's like, Uncle Tommy, he'll be fine. Like, he's great. Like, you kind of get that sense because you saw him in episode 2 in Jackson with that flamethrower. That flamethrower, that's a Miller for you. You only get a sense that he can handle himself from that versus seeing his crash out throughout the game and seeing what he does. Yes, you took the words right out of the mouth. Mr. Caskell, we get each other so well. We get each other so well. I'm sad this is our last time we're going to be doing this for a while. You know what I mean? That makes me a little sad, Mr. Caskell. But I do hope... It felt random on getting Abby. Yes, it did. It just kind of did, because it just was like, oh my god. Especially, I think, that's why I think it also felt so random to go after Abby, because, like, it was, like, 2 weeks ago we were going after Abby. You know what I mean? But versus, like, you sort of, like, had the Ellie and Joel flashback. You know what I mean? That sort of was their, like, arc and their, like, past and their, like, thing that changes everything. You know what I mean? But, like, just the weekly episodes versus how they play out the timeline in the game, it just, you know, I think in the, like, it just, I don't know. It's just weird. I'm just like, okay. It's like, the motivations are so much more fleshed out and played out within the game. Which, again, it's like, I saw a comment on Twitter earlier. It was like that, it's like they sort of rushed through the first game within the first season, but they sort of are, like, milking it, like, truly with the second game that's twice as long. You know what I mean? So, like, but that's why I really, like, that's why I was so confused when it said 7 episodes, because I thought it was going to be the whole game, and that I was just like, oh, it'd be so dope to get Ellie and Abby, like, their narratives, told at the same time. Like, that would have been so cool. I would have loved to experience that, because it would be so different than in the game. But I think them sticking with the game and splitting it over multiple seasons is a horrendous idea, because nobody's gonna give a fuck about season 3, because they don't know who Abby is. They should not have included the stadium at the end of the episode. Like, it should have definitely been the driving forces going after Abby and her friends, because when you start making Ellie's motivation be Dina, you just totally lose that drive to know more about Abby. Not that you wanted to know more about Abby in the game, but when you're handed Abby in the game, it's like, okay, I guess I'll play this, and I'm going to figure out what's happening here. You know what I mean? And then you sort of play as Abby, you know what I mean? And she has the cool sequences in the game, and that's what keeps you going. But it just, like, it's just so much more of a slap in the face than it was in the game, actually, which is insane. Like, it should not have been that. Anyways, back to the episode. We see that Jesse voted no. My Jesse will not vote no. My Jesse in the game, I said it earlier in the stream, my Jesse in the game would have totally, oh, let me check the poll. There's more votes now. Oh, it's definitely a 50-50 split. That's interesting. Because I feel like all of this season have been all yeses, even though some of mine have been no's. Oh, that's interesting. They should have come both women's stories, keep the audience engaged and entertaining. I would have, maybe, there's got to be someone on YouTube that edited the cinematics like that. I'm not going to do it because who has the time to be doing that? But that would be a really interesting experience to sort of get, like, experience it, the narrative told through that way, combined. Oh, yeah, I figured that's what you meant. But yeah, my Jesse would have never said no. He told Ellie in the game, he's like, I would have come after if you would have asked me, you know. I love Joel too. You know what I mean? And, like, it just shows the impact that Joel had on the people around him. You know what I mean? Which you do not get, like, I feel like Jesse's, like, Joel's impact on Jesse is not, like, and it's so crazy how, like, in the game, their scenes are so much smaller, so much shorter, but they're, like, it's enough to get the point across, you know what I mean? But, like, in the TV show, it's much more, like, Jesse's so much more independent, I guess, of Joel. You know what I mean? Which is weird to say that, but it's true. That Jesse's this independent character. Whoa, crazy. He's his own person, which he is in the game, but, like, like, Jesse, because it's, like, what's good for the community. I'm like, my Jesse went after Ellie and Dina and Uncle Tommy. But you understand it in the game that his main motivation was to get there for Ellie, and when he sees Dina's situation, it shifts a little bit, and then he's going after Uncle Tommy. He's still trying to get everybody back one by one, you know what I mean? But, like, it's just, he just, in the TV show, in the game, my Jesse would have voted yes to go after, and it's crazy, because it's like, I think it was, like, one vote that was, like, might have been the deciding factor. That wouldn't have been my Jesse. And that Ellie is sort of seen as being selfish, and they're really shoving it down your throat that how selfish Ellie is. They're really shoving it down your throat how selfish she is, and I'm just like, okay, we get it. Yeah, she is, but it would have been nice if Jesse went through the car ride with the infected, like, in the game. That would have been dope, because that's, like, a bonding moment, because you see them sort of survive together, and it's, like, it's something, a comment, somebody made it work the other day, where it was, like, when, like, words aren't enough, that's when the action kicks in, you know what I mean? Because you can analyze a relationship, interactions, through action sequences, and, like, fight sequences, and they just, like, it's like, the TV show, it's like, the fight sequences are, like, so good, but they sort of lose that fact. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm so mad at the show. Overall, it's like, if I had to look at the season overall, now that all the episodes are out, it's like, it's like a 5 out of 10. Like, legitimately, like, the highs are so high, like, episode 1, pretty good, you know what I mean? You never get that in the game, so it's really cool to experience that. Episode 2, 10 out of 10. Episode 6, 10 out of 10. The rest of them are just, like, so bad. It's just, like, just give it to Neil. I hate to say it. Just give it to Neil. You know what I mean? Like, don't. I take that back. Do not give it to that man, but Craig Mazin, you're on my list. You are right below Neil Druckmann. Okay, Craig? Craig, if you're watching this, I want you to look me dead in my eyes as I stare into my webcam. You are on the list. Right under Neil Druckmann. Okay? He is. He's on my list. Anyways, and then that, like, oh, Jesse isn't better than Ellie. That was never anything... Like, if Jesse's point in the game was never to be meant to be used as a tool or as, like, the moral compass of the game. He's just a really good guy going after his friends that meets an unfortunate end. And we see that here, but because they included him so much more, they feel like they have to give him much more conflict. I don't believe that. But, like, this whole random moral high ground that Jesse and Ellie are going on, or that like Jesse's trying to get Ellie on. It just like it doesn't make sense. Like it doesn't like, is Jesse trying to parent Ellie? Is Jesse trying to big brother Ellie? You know what I mean? Like, because they don't really explore it as like a big brother relationship in the TV show. You know what I mean? Versus like in the game, he's just like older brother kind of friend guy. But him trying to just be like older brother her in the TV show, the way that they write them, the way they write their interactions, it doesn't necessarily work that way. And I think they really were, because in that scene where Ellie's about to get tore apart by stalkers, and it's like Jesse who comes through and not Uncle Tommy, but she hears Joel's voice. You know what I mean? Or the silhouette of Joel. It's almost like that it's supposed to be Jesse instead of like Uncle Tommy. You know what I mean? And it leaves Uncle Tommy on the back burner, and I don't like that. You know what I mean? And I do wonder if they're trying to make season 4 like a 4-episode thing where it's California. It's all the events after, which I kind of hope not, but how they wrote this season, I'm like, they're probably going to try and get even more out of it, squeeze more out of the narrative than is necessary, because it's money. You know what I mean? And girl, I get it. I work in the industry, film industry. I want seasons and seasons of my favorite television shows, but like, good writing is good writing, and you can have a couple bangers, you know what I mean, of good quality stuff, and not end up like this. You know what I mean? Yeah, so this whole moral high ground thing with Jesse, I'm not the biggest fan of, because it was never about comparing Jesse to anybody within the game. He was just like, everyone was like, that just wasn't necessarily his purpose. You know what I mean? So maybe it's not all good getting more Jesse. And yes, I did scream, Jesse, don't run through that door. That came out of my mouth as I saw it happen in front of my eyes. It happened, guys. And that was sad. That's like, it's bad. It's going to sound horrible. But the way Jesse just ran through the door and got Abby'd in the face, it was well handled. Thank you for not messing out on that. You know what I mean? Or messing that up. Thank you. Because, like, it's like Joel. He sort of has to die. You know what I mean? Well, I don't think Joel had to die, per se, for a reason of a second game. His death is essential to the narrative. Jesse's, unfortunately. I'm sorry, Jesse. But it's fact. I'm sorry, Jesse. I really am. And then I wrote, I don't like how they changed Jesse. Literally wrote that down. Ellie seems more selfish now that she doesn't want to go after Tommy. Yeah, it's just like that whole like exchange. I thought the dialogue was handled really well, and they recreated that scene great from the game, but it doesn't make sense in the context of the rest of this writing of this season. It doesn't, for me, and stuff. And yeah, it does make her seem, because Dina wants to leave, Jesse wants to leave, and they just have to go and get Uncle Tommy, and then her just being like, nah, bruh, I'm going after Abby. It's just such a crazy decision, it seems like, in the TV show. Or maybe I was just, like, so mad at that point. I was just mad at every decision that was being made. Not every single one. And then you sort of get Ellie being dumb with the doc and those two guys there, and she just pulls out her unsilenced pistol. Her unsilenced pistol to take out 2 wolves for a boat. How dare they keep writing Ellie? Like, they need to make up their mind if Ellie is smart in combat, or if she's dumb in combat, or if she's just young and dumb, or if she's Ellie. Like, it's just ridiculous. And you could use, like, you can be, like, in the game, she's, again, level-headed when it comes to combat, but, like, her decision-making is so irrational, and is just driven by her revenge and her vengeance and her anger. But, like, how do you just, like, she doesn't have to be dumb for it. It doesn't have to be at the expense of her making dumb combat decisions. It does not have to, but they think it has to, and it drives me insane. We see that Isaac's on the boat. You definitely see the build-up. The death flags for Jesse was so funny. Girl, when he just, like, he said I can't die, like, 8 times. I didn't count. It was probably, like, 5 or 4. It was probably, like, 4 or 5 times. But it felt like he's just like, I can't die. 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 Well, of course you're gonna die now. You're gonna die now. Okay? Like, you didn't need to bring up the argument. You didn't need to bring up the fact that he's like, I can't die, for his death to feel horrible. You know what I mean? Like, that was just, like, so unnecessary. All of Jesse this episode, minus, like, the split with Abby and Tommy, and then also his death was, like, it was just, like, so unnecessary, because you just, like, change his character for him just to die. And a little bit of, like, it's so crazy to me. I hate the writing of this show. They don't understand the character. Like, again, they watch just the cinematics. The writers just watched the cinematics. They did not play the game. On God, I swear it. So we see the boat, Isaac, dead tomorrow. Why did I write dead tomorrow? I don't know why I wrote dead tomorrow. Was there a dialogue exchange that I missed? I don't even remember. Girl, it's that forgettable. It's not even been, it's been an hour since I watched it, and I forgot what the episode was about. And then you obviously see them go towards the island. Yeah, I just read what I wrote, and that's why I paused. But yeah, you definitely see the assault that is about to take place on the island, which again, I don't know why. I don't think, because, like, if you're revealing it all during Ellie's narrative, what are they saving for Abby? Like, if you tell us the war on the island, the wars between, we know that these people are fighting a war, we're not necessarily involved with it, it's not necessarily our thing, but we're kind of caught in the middle of it a little bit. It sort of makes sense. They didn't show any infected in this episode. I'm trying to think. Yeah, there wasn't any action. I have critiques I will get to in a minute. But it's like, I think that all should have been reserved for Abby's narrative. Because then are they, like the whole part of it, like the way that they drop Abby's stuff within this the season overall is just, like, so crazy. Because I'm like, you can't drop Ellie's stuff during Abby's narrative. Because you already experienced Ellie's narrative. You can't just flip-flop it and do whatever you want. Like, it doesn't make sense. Seattle day 1 in the stadium. I'm so mad about that. That is such a bad ending. That is such a bad ending. Like, if I never played the game, I'd be even more mad than when it happens in the game. I'm more mad now, I think. Yeah, they didn't show any infected. Yeah, because day 3 is a bloater. Isn't it? It is. Yeah, they should have done the bloater in the arcade. How cool would that sequence have been? They did, like, such a great job with hordes of infected. They could throw one little bloater scene in there. It would have been, like, so out of place, but it would have definitely made sense. You know what? They could have cut down getting into the aquarium. They could have cut about 10 minutes and done a whole cool bloater scene. And I can tell you what they could have cut out. They could have cut out Ellie landing on Scar Island. And they could have cut out the long entrance into the aquarium. It was just so, it felt so unnecessary to me. Anyways, and I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna break it down a little bit more. Let me get to my point. Ellie boat storm wave. I wrote that down, and then I wrote bad CGI because it was not good. It was not good. It was pretty decent the whole season, but that was just not well done. Ellie ends up on island. I put WTF because, like, they said it in the after the making of the episode that they, like, teased that, or they had an idea for it at one point within the game, but it got cut out probably for a reason. You don't have to do everything you wanted to do in a game, in the TV show, if it doesn't make sense. Because she just leaves. She's there for 5 seconds, almost dies, bounces out. And you know what? It is gonna ruin. Okay, like, they also, I don't like how they filmed it, because it's almost just like they're taking, I don't know if they're fully gonna take that scene away from Abby, which would be so bad. You know what I mean? It would be so bad if they totally just remove that scene from Abby's narrative. This also makes me mad, because I'm like, wait, they kind of showed it in a way of how it is with Abby, and they may just be wanting to drive the parallel things home, but just, like, done in such a bad way, like, so bad, because that is one of the coolest sequences in the game. I'm, like, right at that point, like, I'm about to be captured. When I'm the playthrough I'm playing with my friend right now, which I'm gonna play it after because I need a palate cleanser from how disgusting this last episode was. Like, I just need to play the game so much more, because just don't even watch season 3 at this point. Just play the game. Well, you have to, because of what's happening. But, like, they're just so unnecessary to ever watch season 2 ever again. I'm not gonna waste my time. I'll just play the game. When, like, Ellie gets captured by the scars, and then I put Ellie, scars, is this actually scars? Ellie, hanging scene with Ellie. Yeah, that's, like, so crazy. Because, like, if they executed like they did in the game, in the TV show for Abby, it's not gonna have the impact that they're gonna want it to have, because you've already seen it before. You know what I mean? And it ruined, like, you don't need them both to be strung up by the Seraphites to, like, drive home the fact of whatever parallels they want them to have whenever it's convenient for them. Yeah, I'm gonna replay King because I just can't. Yeah, like, I need it gone out of my brain. Like, how dare I ever want, like, I'm like, how dare I ever want a live action adaptation of the second game? How dare I? Because this is what we got. But yeah, I think it's not going to have the impact that it does, because in the game, it is, like, one of my favorite sequences is when Abby gets captured by the Seraphites. And I think what they're using it for, they're probably going to change it for sure. Unfortunately, but here's the other thing. Like, they have to include it. Then they're going to have to change up the way that Lev and Yara meet Abby, because that's how they meet. Is that sequence. And they just, like, ruined it. Like, they just totally ruined it. Like, it's not going to have the same impact if we've already seen it before. And then maybe they will, because it'll be just like, oh, even the kids of the Seraphites are, like, bad, and everybody just kills everybody on sight. You know what I mean? Because they played it how evil the wolves are earlier in the season. So these last few episodes are how evil the scars are this season, the Seraphites. You know what I mean? And they may be, like, setting it up to where, like, oh, it's the parallel because, like, oh, here are 2 good scars, Yara and Lev, and they saved Abby, so they're the good ones. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's, like, not even totally the point of that whole conflict. You know what I mean? Like, just, I have a feeling they're gonna do that, and it's just gonna be so, like, it's just not gonna work. It's just not, like, for me, it's, like, the whole point of the first game is that nobody's good or bad. Like, we're all villains in someone else's narratives. You know what I mean? We're the good guy in ours, we're the villain in someone else's, because of the things we do. You know what I mean? So just by, like, it's just not gonna work. It's not gonna work, because I'm like, that sequence is so iconic in the game, and I love it, and it's, like, it's an important part for Abby, right? Because she's about to die, but Yara and Lev save her, so it's just, like, it's just, I'm not, like, I mentioned it before I don't know if it was, like, my playthrough, or, oh, yeah, because it was, like, they teased in the trailer the Seraphites running through at night with fire, and I'm like, yo, we're gonna get that scene, it's gonna be so litty, and I was, like, so hyped to actually see it play out in live action, and now I'm just, like, so disappointed, because, like, for one, Neil said it in the making of the episode, to where it's just like, these kids have been taught to hate everybody from birth. You know what I mean? So that's why the kid is like, kill Ellie. You know what I mean? But I'm like, yeah, you can do that. But also, like, shouldn't, like, you're sort of retconning, for lack of a better term, everything about the kids being innocent. You know what I mean? That Scar kid could have been Ellie. That Ellie, like, is, well, that actually does drive it home, though. That, like, it's just done in a poor way, of being, like, even Ellie as a kid could have been bad and could have been killing people. Yeah, she was. And she was bad. And she was killing people. So, yeah, you do have that fact. And in that sense, it makes sense. But it was just, like, making that scene for Ellie doesn't make sense. And then even if, I know it's Abby's scene, so it doesn't make sense that it was Ellie. It does not. It does not. It does not. Because then also, it's just, like, they're not even going to give, like, the whole point of what makes Abby's playthrough so tolerable when you are first playing is how cool the action sequences are. But sometimes these changes shouldn't be changes in the first place, which is the frustrating part. Yeah, because why does Ellie end up on the island just for her to get back 2 minutes later? 2 minutes later, they leave her. It is not within the Seraphi's characters to just leave somebody. Right? Like, 1 or 2 of them would have stayed to finish the job. Minimum 2 of them, max, like, 4. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. Like, and whatever, like, they probably threw the idea out there. It's probably, like, in an outline or something that, oh, Ellie ends up on Scar Island. You know what I mean? But they didn't have enough justification for why she's there, so they took it out of the game. That's why it wasn't in the game at all, because there's no reason for her to be there. She ends up, like, it would be if she got stuck on the island, she's lost, her boat broke down, and now she has to fight through her way, and she meets Abby there in this wolf and Scar fight. You know what I mean? And they have this confrontation in the middle of this war, but it kind of makes sense for the narrative of the game that it doesn't happen in the middle of the war. But, like, it could have been that. That's, like, a motivating factor right there. Like, Ellie just has to survive through this. There's wolves everywhere. There's scars everywhere. Ellie just got to get out. You know what I mean? And she makes her way back to the aquarium, and she still does what she does to Owen and Mel. It could have worked that way, but they just totally didn't use it in that way. Maybe they're trying to interconnect it. IDK. They're trying to, but, like, again, that's why it was removed from Ellie's. Then it's just, like, it doesn't work the way they wanted to. Because, again, they're not saving it for Abby. So what's gonna, like, you're not even saving, like, it does give, I feel like, it teases, what I think in their brain is that it's teasing the next season and the events that happen with Abby and giving viewers something to look forward to. But, like, it could have been done without actually seeing the village blow up, and without Ellie having to go to Scar Island, and without you feel like in the game, what is it? They don't allow any mystery in the show either. Like, they don't allow you to make up your own conclusions. It's horrendous. I hate it. They could have done it to where it's just, like, you just know that Isaac's looking for Abby. I know it's AWOL. That was enough in the game. That could have been enough here. You don't have to know that there's a Scar and the wolves are going to infiltrate Scar Island. You don't have to know that yet. You don't have to know that yet. Because, again, oh, what are you going to say for Abby? What are you going to say for Abby? You know what I mean? Like, it's a conflict that she has within herself that she eventually just, like, pushes aside to save the ones that she loves. Or the people that she's learning to love. Her people, her community, you know? So it just... I don't like it at all. I digress. Let's get back on track. This is the longest stream I've done so far. Ellie captured by scars. Oh, I put cooler in the game. I literally wrote that down. Because, like, not only should that sequence been, like, so much cooler and, like, much more intense and much more kind of, like, spaced out, I think I was also just so driven by confusion on what was happening that I was like, it was cooler in the game. The horn, they go into the village, they leave Ellie, again, out of character for a Seraphite. I don't care what you say. I know the Seraphites. Someone would have stayed to finish the job. Because they literally do that. Is it the Abby sequence? Where it's just like they're kind of going to go and do something, they hear something, and then she goes, go check it out, but I'm going to finish the job. You know? it's just so out of character. Ellie hops on the boat, village blows up, aquarium. It's just like the village caught on fire. It doesn't explode. There's Molotovs, but it wouldn't explode like that. Okay, so basically what they were using this episode for is to tease Abby's season. But like, if you would have made Abby, even if you're not using the Uncle Tommy thing, if you would have been using Abby as much more of the motivation for Ellie in episodes like 3 and 4, and a little bit more in 5 in the beginning, you wouldn't, like, some people might be excited for that because they're just like, what's happening to Abby? You know what I mean? But like, the way that they just threw in the bridge and then the wolf infiltration into Scar Island, two things that happened to Abby in this narrative in one episode, I'm like, okay. Like, they could have been teasing throughout. They did not. They did not. And they're like, oh, how are we going to make people excited? Blah, 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 blah. You know, that's how it feels. Aquarium, she climbs through, sees the bed. I put so unnecessary to take this long to go through the aquarium. Oh, right, because, like, in the game, it doesn't actually take you that long to get through the aquarium and find out where Abby is. But it is such an intense moment. Like, there's so much tension with her in the game that, like, it just feels like it takes 5 years. In the TV show, it just felt like it took 5 years. Like, I didn't feel as intense through it, I think, again, because I was just so driven by confusion. I was like, oh, we're actually here? I'm confused on why we even went to the island at all, and now we're at the aquarium. And they took so long to get through the aquarium. It was so crazy. I'm like, is this game pace? Like, isn't the fact of, like, okay, here's what I was thinking while it was playing out. I'm like, why are you dragging ass to get through the aquarium? But, like, you couldn't justify having an action sequence of Ellie getting to Nora? Because it's supposed to be a fight. Every time she's getting to them, it's supposed to be a fight. And she's supposed to be losing herself more and more through the actions that she's doing by her kill count. You know what I mean? So taking the fight sequence before the hospital out and just having her crawl through, oh my god, Nora, what's up, girl? You know what I mean? Like, that whole thing is just, like, so insane to me that you didn't kind of drag that out and build up Nora a little bit more. But you have this such long, unnecessary, extended aquarium sequence. Could have shave that time down, give me a bloater. Shave that time down, give me a bloater. But, wait, Ellie can't be smart in battle, remember? Ellie can't be smart in battle. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. And then Owen, and then obviously we get to Ellie. She sees Owen and Mel. They're talking about Abby. I don't know. They were yapping a little bit more than I remember them in the game. But then Owen is like, I'm the one who kept you alive, remember? Okay, Owen. Is this how they're justifying Owen being like the good guy? The good moral compass on Abby's side? For us, it was Jesse. For Abby, it's Owen. Is that what they're going to do to us? That's what they're going to do to us. And you know it. And it's not going to be good. Well, Owen does work in that sense. I don't think Jesse works in that sense. But they're probably going to change Owen's character. Anyways, because Homeboy's not likable at all. You know what I mean? And I feel like by this point, you kind of, like, Owen was a little likable. You know what I mean? I think it's based off the first interaction. And it's just, like, I don't know if, like, it's... I don't know if it's how they're directing him to act. I don't know if it's the acting itself. I don't know if it's the writing. But I kind of would like to get... I want more Owen in Season 2. Because I don't know who this man is. No dog kill. Maybe it was for the best. Yeah. No, like... It's already hard enough to do in a game. They're not gonna... You're just not gonna... It's just the old Yeller, we'll call it, is somewhat justifiable in games because they're attacking. I mean, if it would have went after Ellie, it would have made sense, right? But, like, old Yellering is kind of, it's a little bit tough to do IRL. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, it's enough motivation for John Wick. You know what I mean? But then you gotta John Wick it. You know what I mean? And then what I thought was crazy is that Owen is the one who says she's going to kill us either way. Or no. Oh, wait, no, that is different from what Mel says in the game. Because Mel's like, she's probably dead anyways, and that's why she's willing to give it to Abby. But Owen's like, she's going to kill us either way. Oh, okay, no, that kind of changes my analysis of it. I got to think about that for a minute. Because it's like, that's why they're willing to sell Abby out, or Mel is. But then when you make it Owen in a way of like defending himself and Mel, in a way he's kind of doing that in the game, but like that's a little bit different now that I see it that way. Ooh. Now I have to kind of reanalyze that scene a little bit. She's gonna kill us either way. He says it, but Mel says she's probably dead anyway. That's why she sells out Abby. But ugh, they're gonna change Mel's character too. Ugh, gross. Because then her hate for Abby is kind of like why she sells her out. But if she's not the one to sell her out anymore, it's like, what? But then Owen's ready to shoot her because Owen grabs the gun after Ellie's like, I'm not like you. Again, driving home that parallel factor that Ellie's not a good person. You do not have to shove it down our throats. It shouldn't, like, the actions should justify enough to where you don't have to give me exposition or dialogue exchanges on for why someone's a bad person or a good person or has a certain moral compass. Especially in this one, because that's what the beauty is of, like, the first game and even the second game, is that, like, you're able to come up with your own interpretation of it. Do most of the fandom lean one way or the other? Yeah, but, like, that's what works even about the first season, is you're able to come up with your own feelings about how the game ends, about how Joel did what he did. You know what I mean? You're able to, did he do the right thing? Did he not do the right thing? You know what I mean? And even throughout, and I think that's why the second narrative works so well, because you're on Ellie's side most of it. You know what I mean? And that's why it's so hard. If you were on the side that Joel did wrong, maybe the second game is a different experience for you. They better show the racking in season 3. If they don't, well, I'm not going to watch it. It has to be either in the teaser or the trailer. If not, I'm not watching it. I will watch it for these analysis purposes, but I have zero motivation to even watch the next season. And, like, because now I'm scared they're going to do Abby wrong. And I'm like, Abby is, like, barely justifiable in the game. You can't make me, like, but you know what? It's Caitlin Dever. It's Caitlin Dever, and she makes her so much, like, it's not, like, likable, but she does, like her version of Abby. I really, really love the little bit that we've seen of her, that I'm like, ugh, I think I will watch it for that. I think I'm gonna watch it for that, just because, but, like, if they mess up her writing, though, if they mess up her writing, like, she's just so powerful on screen, that I'm like, I kind of have to watch it because of that. I have to watch it because, like, I will watch anything she's in. Like, anything she's in is good. Apple cider vinegar, it's a little bit of a roller coaster. It's a little bit of a weird narrative, but it's really good. Really good. Dope Sick, amazing. What is she in? Booksmart? Really good. Really good. Like, oh my god, like, yes, give me more of this. Like, she's just so powerful that I'm just like, you know what? Not how they, like, the confrontation, so powerful and menacing and scary, even though it looks like it's shot on a green screen, it looks horrendous. Like, when it goes to Seattle day one, I don't care about Abby. I know. I'm like, I don't care about this, because you should not have teased this at all. You know what I mean? But for Caitlin Dever, and your brilliance that you've showed us with Abby so far, I don't know if acting is enough to save this show. Because if Catherine O'Hara can't save it, nobody can. If Uncle Tommy can't, if Gabriel Luna can't save it, nobody can. If Pedro was barely holding it together. He was barely holding it together. I don't know if the writing, I don't know if the acting is enough to pull through for Caitlin Dever. But the acting will. The acting will keep me sad there. I think I might. I think I had to convince myself that I might. Oh, she's amazing. Caitlin Dever's amazing. And she did such a good job with Abby. You know what I mean? Like, such a good job. Like, I don't even think I hate her. Honestly. I think I hate the writers. I think I hate Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann more than I hate Abby at this point. I can't wait for when Abby and Ellie beat the shit out of each other in the theater plus Dina. Here's the thing, though. I think it's going to end there, and they're going to try to get California out of season 4. So it'll be interesting. Anyways, back to where we were. Ellie, I'm not like you. Owen grabs a gun. She shoots Owen, which, like, I feel like how they handled it in the TV show made it so much more worse than it did in the game, right? Because in the game, you know that she's pregnant. Does Owen even tell Abby in episode 2 that Mel's pregnant? I don't even remember. Let me look back. I take notes for a reason. I should look back. Let me see. Episode 2. Where's episode 2? Episode 2. Start with Abby flashback dream. Only 5. I want to go back. She'll close with Dina. Abby not afraid of heights. Eugene was a firefly. I'm looking through. I would have wrote it down. They wake up scarier than game. Uncle Tommy uses barrels. I don't think they mentioned that Mel's pregnant. I wrote Mel's not preggo. 19 kills, no way. Abby's speech. Scars Manny. Ashley's song from the game. Yeah, so you don't know that Mel's in the game. You know that Mel's pregnant, and you know that when you're Ellie going after Mel. Wait. No, you don't, because you don't know who Mel is yet. In the pictures, you do, but you don't. I don't think you're paying that close enough attention and connecting the dots that Mel is pregnant until you see it played out in the game. Because you know it because Owen tells Abby, but you don't necessarily know which one is Mel in the confrontation with Joel. They're just all people killing Joel. You know what I mean? And then you never really see her until that moment, that confrontation with Owen, Abby, and Mel. But then when you do, you're like, oh, wait, yeah, she was pregnant. I'm trying to remember what my first, reaction was to when you're finding that out. I think I just felt bad. You know what I mean? Just because you discover it. But, you're still you're fighting them because you don't know who Owen and Mel are. You know what I mean? And then you find it out later. But it's interesting how they handle this scene, because it's almost like, in a way, you hear the ringing, you see Ellie just she's kind of almost just overwhelmed by what she just did, because Mel, in the TV show, Mel gets caught in the crossfire. You know what I mean? And she's like, I don't have long. I know what I'm doing. Mel, C-section. I thought Ellie was really going to do it. But then, I don't know if Ellie is in, a state of shell shock, and that's, their interpretation of it in the game, is, that she's not able to perform it for Mel, and then she just kind of sits there because she's, in a shell shock state, versus in the game, Mel doesn't ask her to do that because Mel can't talk. First of all, we get there. And then also she doesn't know, what to do. You know what I mean? In that moment, she's just oh God, what did I just do? And then she just, overwhelmed with emotion. You know what I mean? But in the TV show, it felt so much worse, because it's Ellie could have saved the baby, essentially, if it was successful. Could have is a stretch, you know what I mean? But again, Ellie's not smart in the TV show, so even if she would have known basic anatomy and would have known what it is and how it's performed and stuff, in the game, Ellie knows a decent amount of first aid, you know what I mean? And stuff like that, you know what I mean? Not to the extent of a doctor or probably being able to perform a C-section, but you know what I mean? Yeah. So, but like, it just felt so much heavier in the TV show than in the game. Because in the game, it's justified by your defending yourself. You know what I mean? And then when it happens, you're like, oh, Ellie, oh no. And you sort of are just like, oh no, with Ellie. You know what I mean? But versus in the TV show, you're just like, it's so much more worse because they did make it in the fact of Craig Mazin. It was Craig Mazin's idea. Again, you're on my list. Partly for this. A little bit of it is this, but most of it is because of the bad writing. Because Mel's like, she's dying, so she can't necessarily give instruction to her as well. You know why? I just made a connection. You know how the zombies, the infected, are so much more like horde-like in the TV show, and how some of it feels like The Walking Dead? What happens to Lori in season 2? And why it was Craig Mazin's random idea that came out of no other piece of existing fiction anywhere else to perform a C-section while a woman is dying. What other possible narrative could that have happened in? Why does it weirdly feel like The Walking Dead in certain moments? Are there no original ideas anymore? Are there no original ideas anymore? I'm just saying. There are weird parallels like that don't need to exist because The Last of Us is on its own. You know what I mean? So, I think that's why. And it could have just been sitting in the back of his brain and not been like, and from watching it many, many years ago, that happened. And then that's where he kind of got the idea from, but like, dies by C-section, holy. Well, I think that's why Lori died. Mel didn't die by that way. But you know what I mean, right? You definitely see, like, because it is a change. There are certain changes in the TV show that make it, where I've said it, the comment before, Ramses, and you'll know this, to where it's like, Lori did, I think it's pretty much that she did die by C-section because it was it that she was having the baby, she needed to have a C-section, but like, you know, those parallels, like, The Last of Us works when it's so independent, like, as a narrative to itself, but like, The Walking Dead references here, I think, are what might be killing it. Because then it's not allowed to exist as its own thing, as it has been written, you know what I mean? Like, in the game, there's like none of that, you know what I mean? But in the TV show, there seems to be a lot of that. And it could be a lot that they are inspired from that, because The Walking Dead is the most popular infected / zombie type narrative, essentially outside of The Last of Us. You know what I mean? So, like, I definitely, now, like, in my analysis of it, I'm like, oh, that's why he did it. But again, like, The Walking Dead should not be your comparison for The Last of Us, is all I'm saying. But I'm just saying, I'm seeing parallels, okay? Like, why did, when Ellie and Dina first show up to Seattle, I feel like that's when Rick Grimes shows up to Atlanta? What is with the zombie hordes? Like, the hordes weren't really, like, too, like, they did exist within the game, but not to the extent we saw in the TV show. So, I'm just saying, I better not be the only person that makes these connections here. You know what I mean? And then even if, like, and I think, again, the reason they're going to they justified it, it doesn't make sense the way they justified it, because the way I interpreted it as seeing the scene play out is that Ellie was in shell shock for, like, the contrast of, like, when Ellie gets, like, in shock and the ringing of the ears in the game when she realizes that Mel was pregnant, versus, like, the shell shock of just, like, Mel, oh, she got caught in the crossfire, but, like, in a sense, because she wasn't a threat to Ellie, she's still dying because of Ellie. Like, it changes it a little bit, the dynamic a lot. But, like, yeah, it's just, do you think it's to counteract that we won't have Pedro anymore? So thinking, like, oh, we don't have to do popular zombie stuff. Ramses, do you think it's to counteract that we don't have any Pedro anymore? So they're thinking like, oh, we have to do more popular zombie stuff. Oh, like why they're taking like inspiration from the TV, specifically not the comic books of The Walking Dead. I've never read them. My friend who I'm playing The Last of Us has read them, so she knows a little bit more than I do, like TV show to comic book for The Walking Dead. But it's so unnecessary because it's like they need to make up their mind though, because they do so much set recreation that is hella expensive to do for the game to sort of capture all this other stuff. And then, The Walking Dead gets a little messy sometimes with its relationships and its narratives. But, like, I wonder if they have the same teams working on it. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of, like, the writers. I don't know. That's a much more deeper analysis. And there's a lot more writers for the Walking Dead TV show than there will be for The Last of Us. But, like, it should not be that, because The Last of Us is such a standalone type of thing. And it almost is like it does lose itself when it tries to do that. You know what I mean? And the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead TV show and The Last of Us game kind of came out around the same time. Ish. You know what I mean? And there really wasn't a strong Walking Dead TV show influence within the game. The Walking Dead Telltale games just happened to be father-daughter surrogate narratives through apocalyptic, infected type of thing. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But it's not even because it's not even pulling from the Telltale games. You know what I mean? So it's just so, I can't comprehend why. I don't know why. I'm just making the connections. Because there's a big reason why we have hordes in The Last of Us, not just a coincidence. Yeah, because it's like, you mean like in the TV show versus the game, Ramses? Because the threat is, but The Walking Dead, it does such a good job of making the threat being even just like one infected to also a horde of infected. And you know what I mean? Like they do, I haven't watched all the entirety of the series, but within the first, girl, I don't even know how many seasons. If we're just kind of judging the first maybe 2 seasons of The Walking Dead, like the threat of the infected being, like in the TV show, one runner is not a threat. In the game, it's a threat. A runner's scary. You know what I mean? And a group of 5 of them is enough to take you out. Okay, that is, yeah. Yeah, but I kind of thought it was more like a World War Z type of, I never even watched World War Z. And I make comparisons. I just know that they're much more of that type of infected. But, like, if you do the tension, it's just lazy, honestly, is to do the hordes. Because if you do it right within the TV show and you make those moments intense and you make them filled with tension and about survival and saving people and everything that is in the game present within the I Saw Z Nation LMAO, I don't even know. I'm just thinking of, like, big horror type of infected things. Yeah, they might be doing that because I've seen The Walking Dead in its entirety. It gets bonkers in terms of hordes. Yeah, I've seen, I don't even know what season I've seen up until, but there's a handful I still need to watch. But the first, like, up until, like, Carl's death is fresh within my brain. Well, first, I've watched past that, but, the first kind of, like, 2 are just, like, burned into my brain because I watched them so much as a youth. And the sort of, like, that seems more closer to what they are pulling from and referencing within, like, the TV show of The Last of Us than like the much more later stuff of The Walking Dead, because the first like 2 seasons are just like, mwah, you know what? The first season of The Walking Dead, mwah, you know what I mean? But like it really like it seems like that's the parallel that they're going for, because it's like even with the wolves in when they're walking in that like military sort of formation through the streets of Seattle, I'm like, why does it feel like The Walking Dead? And a lot of it, now we're getting into a much more bigger analysis of it. This is probably why the writing is so bad, because they wanted to be like The Walking Dead and it's not, and they don't understand that. Did Craig Mazin ever work on The Walking Dead? Oh my god. Craig Mazin. I'm gonna IMDb this right now. American writer and director. He did Scary Movie. Like, I don't understand. I know he did the Scary Movie stuff in The Hangover Part 3. He stanked in Dune Part 1. Mythic Quest, never watched it. He doesn't have any ties. No, he doesn't. He does not have any ties to The Walking Dead. But, I mean, like, it's like the cultural impact of The Walking Dead is so strong, especially the beginning seasons, that it would make sense why it would be like an influence for it, but it completely... He also wrote The Hangover Part 2, which, shout out to that. Shout out for the Hangover stuff, ugh. Oh, God. He's in development for an Untitled Pirates of the Caribbean project. He's going to ruin that. Oh, and we thought, like, movies 4 and 5 are ruined. No, he's going to ruin Pirates of the Caribbean. It's, like, just, oh, my God. Just, like, I love the first 3 Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and Craig Mazin is going to ruin it. He's going to ruin it. Because that's, like, I looked up his incoming IMDb credits, or his upcoming, Untitled Pirates of the Caribbean, Cowboy Ninja Viking, don't know what the hell that is, 3 Bags Full of Sheep Detective Movie. I don't know what the hell that is. Like, he had a banger with Chernobyl, but he just doesn't get anything else. He just doesn't get any, I don't even know, bro. I don't even know, bro. Who else are these writers? You know what I mean? Because it's not only him. It's mainly on him because he is executive producing and he does write, or he has writing credits for everything. So I put a lot of the blame on him. If there's one man to justify Neil Druckmann, it's Craig Mazin. Or like, kind of, I don't know, give credit to for Neil doing something decent with characters. It's apparently Craig Mazin, which is crazy. You know what I mean? But like, it's so weird. I mean, Craig Mazin's credits are weird because it's all like Scary Movie, Identity Thief, and then it goes to like Huntsman, and then it goes to like Hangover movies, and then it goes to Last of Us, and then it's just like, it's crazy. But anyways, we found a new crazy thing we can analyze. I bet you I will not be the only person to give Walking Dead and Last of Us comparisons. And if I'm not, other people, please do video analysis of them, because I will not do it. I will yap about it in, like, my Assassin's Creed videos. I'm not going to be making analysis videos on it. These are my analysis videos. But, yeah, that's much more of a deeper... We are discovering something together, guys. And it is truly remarkable. And we understand, like, I just... It makes me angry. Now I'm mad about it. We see Mel dies. Ellie can't do C-section. I put way worse than the game. Ellie's kind of traumatized from it. Again, it made sense for me that it was like a shell shock moment. But in the after the behind the scenes, they're like, she's just not skilled enough. Like, just totally like, it's like, what? Like, if it plays out that same way, and I'm interpreting it as like Ellie's in a shell shock moment or a state, and that's why she can't do anything to Mel. For me, that makes sense because I played the game and I understand that she gets in like this moment of like shell shock. You know what I mean? That it makes sense. Like, it just makes sense. But for her to not be skilled enough, they have been writing her to not be skilled this entire season extremely intentionally, and I've been clocking it every time. And it is at such a detriment to Ellie as a character. Like, and it totally, again, it just, like, it also, like, messes with Joel, because, like, how are you this extremely skilled survivalist and smuggler, and you have all this stuff, and as a father, he would pass that on down to his daughter. He's just that type of dad, and you already know it. You already know Joel to be that. That's how he was in the game. That's how he was in season 1. But, like, and you just totally erase that part of Joel within Ellie, because, making her not skilled as a person, like, as a fighter, as, like, she was able to stitch him up. Joel, somehow she did, you know, like, it's just, like, it totally erases that part of Joel within Ellie, that survivalist that he taught her how to be. It just totally erases that part of her character in season 2, which is insane. Like, the bullet hit Owen and then hit Mel, like, huh? Yeah, well, it was like a fragment caught and hit her in the neck. You know what I mean? But, which makes it that much more tragic because it's not in self-defense. And like, the reason why that works within the game and you don't feel as guilty is because it's for one, it's self-defense. For two, it's where the realization of the weight of Ellie's actions, where it has taken her. You know what I mean? Within the game. Is that she got driven so much by it that anybody became expendable. And anybody did become expendable, including a fetus. But within the TV show, it's not played out in that way. It's like Mel got caught in the crossfire. But, like, for, like, no reason, almost. So it feels like Ellie's actions are that much more horrible. You know what I mean? Because it was Owen because he was going to grab a gun and shoot at Ellie. That makes sense. But Mel was just a victim of Ellie's anger and revenge and her loss of her control of emotions, versus, like, in the game, again, it is justifiable by, like, self-defense. In a way, like Mel was going to kill us if we didn't kill Mel. You know what I mean? And it's that it's also a quick time event in the game. It is. So you're just like, you know what I mean? Trying to survive. But, like, yeah, like, you already feel guilty about it. You know what I mean? Within the game, and they did not have to make it that and make it be just like Ellie could have saved her if she was more skilled, though. But Ellie's not skilled, and it's just like, well, like, they kept on, like, doing that throughout it, but, like, it doesn't make sense that Ellie would not be such a skilled fighter because she's going after revenge. Like, it does not make sense to the narrative about it being a revenge time and you being like, it also doesn't make sense in the first episode when you see her take down the guy, like, 3 times her size. That doesn't make sense. If she's supposed to be so skilled and so smart, she took a punch for it, she, like, whatever. Remember that? You don't remember that? I remember that. How are you gonna have that scene and then justify her being a horrible fighter and decision maker and not be able to make these on the dot decisions, and have her be poorly skilled and not know, and have, like, Jessie know that her artery's right there, but not have Ellie be able to perform a C-section. Which, she was sloppy. Yeah. No, the writing is sloppy. Caskell, what are you talking about? It just doesn't justify anything. She was sloppy. Oh, is that what Jessie said to her? I don't remember. But yeah, like either way, even if Ellie messed it up, Mel was dying at that point. So if they want to make Ellie justify saving kids and wanting to save all the kids, and you know what I mean, and all the kids are innocent and right, then, like, she should have been able to perform it in that moment if she was unskilled. Because Mel would have been dead either way. And I don't know human bodies enough to be just like, the baby could have, we don't know how long the baby could have survived. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? In that sort of situation. Um, like, I don't know the science behind it all. But like, there could have been essentially enough time, and Mel was dying anyways and would have died from being caught in the crossfire, that to me it would have been worth it to take that chance, even if I wasn't skilled, even if I didn't know what I was doing. I would do that. And I feel like Ellie would have done that. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But now Ellie's traumatized, but she just sitting there, did nothing to do it, and now all of a sudden she's in like a shell shock state. But like, their writing doesn't make, like, I had it make sense, but then it was like when I watched the behind the scenes and watched their justification of what happened, I'm like, okay, no, my analysis was better than your analysis, and your justification doesn't actually make any sense. You know what I mean? Like, again, it makes sense that Ellie would be in shell shock. It doesn't make sense that Ellie just is not skilled and whatever, but how did she get to Seattle through this way, and how is she getting through everybody in the way that she's getting through if she's not a skilled fighter? Like, they need to make up their mind. It's driving me crazy. Tommy gets Ellie, we see that. I hate the dissolves. I literally wrote that. They have a lot of dissolve transitions this episode. I hate them all. They're so ugly, unnecessary, and I hate them. Tina knows Ellie did something, but Abby gets to live. We get that line, which doesn't have the same impact that it does because we had Abby be our motivating factor for one episode, essentially. Ellie and Jesse don't like each other. Jesse's a good person. You see Jesse and Ellie making up. Jesse went through the door. I love you, Jesse, but it's essential to the narrative. At this point, Captain Wyoming had to go. It happened. Abby bruise. Oh, this is what I wrote. I wrote that it happened because how I was talking earlier about the sequence of they're gonna do it because you see the bruising around her neck in that sequence of when Abby confronts Ellie and it shows her. You see the bruising on her neck in the TV show. So she is going to be saved by Love and Yara the same way in the game that she is in the TV show because they put the bruising around her neck. Where does Abby get the bruising around her neck from? Because she was being hung by the scars. Which makes it not going to be, like, it ruins the scene for when they're going to do it as Abby. Unless they do it shot for shot like they do it in the show. Unless they do it shot for shot like they do it in the game, in the show, it's not going to work. It's not going to have the same impact that it's going to... I mean, obviously, it's the parallel narrative sort of thing, but it didn't look as cool as it could have looked, you know, with Ellie. And then it's just like... But I already saw that happen with Ellie. I didn't catch that. Whoa. Yeah, I caught that. You can go look at, like, clips on Twitter or whatever, the confrontation. You see the bruising around Abby's neck. So it's like, will they, won't they do it? They will. It's just not going to have the impact that it does because you've already seen it before. Abby has the bruising around her neck. I didn't mean to hurt them. Looks like a green screen. I wrote that. When Ellie said, I didn't mean to hurt them, she was talking about Mel and Owen. But, like, my Ellie stands on business. My Ellie stands on business. She would have never said that. Okay? She may, but again, it's like, if it's self-defense is justified, and you can feel guilty about what you had to do in self-defense, but my Ellie stood on business. I don't know who this Ellie they're writing is. I don't know who it is. Yeah, and then I said it looks like a green screen, which it's a set that they built, but why does it look like a green screen? Why did it look so bad? Can you tell me why? Because I don't know why. The whole exchange, when it was like it looked like a green screen. I don't know how it did, but it did, and it just looked bad. I don't know why. And then you get like a shot going off, which was a little crazy because it's just like you think that Abby kills Ellie, and then there's like a ringing. I wonder if they're going to justify it by the shot being Lev or something. But Lev uses a bow and arrow and not a gun. You know what I mean? I wonder if they're going to do that. because Lev shoots Tommy in the leg, and that's why he has a limp and the leg sort of thing. So the gunshot doesn't make sense because Jesse's dead. Uncle Tommy doesn't shoot at her. Ellie throws the gun. Abby's the only one with the gun. Why is there a gunshot going off? And is it... I don't... They're going to change it from the game. Whatever. And there's like a ringing. Should have been a fate of... For me, in my professional opinion of playing the game many, many times, and also witnessing the ending of Sopranos, and knowing this is exactly where they were going to cut this season, they should have left it fade to black. They should have left it fade to black. Are people still mad about the Sopranos ending? Yes, but is it still the best, arguably top 3 television shows ever made? Yeah, it is. Guess what the ending is? Fade to black. They could have ended this because it just would have been such like a clean, nice ending. And then, but it would have driven people crazy who never played the game for season 3 to be Abby's narrative. You know what I mean? But you would have known throughout the teasers and the trailers. So it would have been fine. You don't have to give me Seattle Day 1 and that Isaac is looking for Abby and City of Thieves, which is still such a crazy one. Give the people a cliffhanger, right? Like, that would have been such a good cliffhanger. What's not a good cliffhanger? The stadium. A poorly CGI stadium. They shouldn't have done that. That makes it so much worse. It makes it so much worse. They should have cut to black. They should have cut to black. They should have called me up. Been like, hey, we only want to do Ellie's Seattle narrative. Seattle's greatest hits with Ellie. And I would have been like, fade to black. Don't tease Abby. Let the mystery build up. Because, again, what works so good about like all the stuff that happens for Abby is the way, the mystery around it. You've given us too much this season in terms of we know that it's Abby's dad. In terms of we know they were Fireflies. In terms of we know about the war on Scar Island. The battle that occurs there. That they should have left it as a mystery. They should have left it as a mystery. I've been doing this for like 2 hours. What's wrong with me? I should not be allowed to live stream. I put bad CGI. Seattle Day 1. And again, this is how you know. Because like in the behind the scenes, at the end of the episodes and stuff, when they talk about like why they did what they did, the other episodes make sense. This one, it just is so insane. I don't understand it. They're like, oh, Joel tells Ellie, I hope you do better than me when you have your own or whatever. And Bella Ramsey's just like, Ellie does worse. And I'm like, oh, they don't get it. They don't get it. They don't get it. They don't get it. Bella, I've been defending you this whole live stream. And then you prove to me you don't get it. I think what they do is they justify the writing and it's bad. It's bad. It's like just for like publicity's sake, but like, come on. It makes me think you don't get Ellie. And it's just like, it's more supposed to be, I'm having a blast, friend, with my wine over tomorrow. I want wine. I have wine too. But yeah, it's not supposed to be that Ellie does worse. It's supposed to be that Ellie's turning into Joel. That's what it's supposed to be. Not that she's doing worse than Joel ever did. Joel still did a lot worse that we will never know about. Because we saw what Uncle Tommy did. And what did they learn that from? Joel. And he did what he did to... Oh, you know what? There's not that exchange in the TV show where Joel and Tommy meet again. And he's just like, I kept us alive. Like, we were surviving because of us. And he was like, is that what you call it after all those years? You know what I mean? There's not that exchange. Fuck. So then, yeah, then they make, like, I, like, that whole part, Ellie does worse. Um, I don't, I don't like, that's not what Ellie's character is. That's not what it is, right? Because it's just, like, you essentially see 20 years of Joel being angry about what had happened to him. You've seen what that does to a person over 20 years. You know what I mean? And then you see it played out in, like, 3 days with Ellie. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's in a way of that parallel between Ellie and Joel, in that way of just, like, nature versus nurture. You know what I mean? And then also, like, you see it played out with Abby as well. You don't get the entire arc of how she's been, like, you get it through her muscles, her physique, her skills, her being a top scar killer. You understand the impact that her father's death had on her and and how she was seeking revenge through all those actions. You know what I mean? You know, and then how after she gets what she wants, it doesn't make it better. So then, you know, Joel could have told her that. If she would have sat down and talked to him, and if Tommy didn't yap out their names, you know. So I definitely don't agree with their perspective on that Ellie's doing worse. I'm like, no, Ellie's just turning into Joel, and this is kind of like the side of Joel we never saw. You know what I mean? And she's driven by her grief and her revenge and her anger, and everything's falling apart around her, but then essentially it happened to other people. You know what I mean? Friend, what do you think about the... think about what? You know what I mean? So I don't like how they sort of justify it in that way, because I don't believe that to be the narrative, and if they truly backlash on Abby not having muscles. For me, Caitlin Dever, like, they have to, I've said it before, they have to give Abby something to justify, like, her grief and how she sort of has taken that on. So she got to be, like, top scar killer, like, for sure. Like, we got to see that within her, because how, like, is Abby, because that's part of her thing, right? That's how she's processing her grief. She's essentially getting ready by killing all the scars, by building up her physique in that way. That's how she's dealing with her grief, and also how she's driving and feeling her revenge to be able to take on a grown man that did this horrible act to the Fireflies in a hospital. He murdered all those people. You know what I mean? All of those people. And her, whatever visual of what this man is, she has to become more physically intimidating and more physically capable than him in her brain to take him on, to be able to do what she wants to do, what she feels like she needs to do. You know what I mean? So, they kind of have to give her something. There has to be a character trait about her, not necessarily physical, but there has to be something about her constantly driving her motivation, that we see in order, like, she needs something. You know what I mean? She needs something, you know? I think, because that's why it works in the game. Because you see it that way, that's how you can interpret it, that's how it's been done. You know what I mean? So she doesn't necessarily have to have the muscles, because we saw that she still did what she did. But she got to have some skill set, she got to have something. I just want to get your opinion, that's all. Abby, Ellie, and Dina are so small in the show that kind of works that she's not muscly. Whether that's good for the show, we'll have to see. Yeah, but then again, I mean, though Dina and Ellie being small does work to their advantage, because they're able to crawl through different people, and I guess it does work for Abby's advantage when she is in getting attacked by all the infected and the fence coming down on top of her. It does work. Again, we'll just, like, have to see. how it goes. But again, like, Ellie, like, in the game, Ellie's body type, Dina's body type, Abby's body type, like, every character's body type within the game makes sense for in the context of it. Like, you see Ellie kind of being, like, a little bit skinny, but she's very lean, she's very muscular. Like, that realistically would probably be the body type you'd have in a show like this. Or, like, realistically, and that's why I think there was a lot of Abby hate at in the beginning, because it's just, like, for one, she's just, like, this yoked woman, but you know what I mean? But, like, say, like, Owen's body type seems very realistic for the circumstances that are around them, and we're talking about the type of food that's available, how you're able to build up muscle with whatever you're eating, you know what I mean? Because a lot of it is diet, you know what I mean? So they have to have a lot of access to food, you know? So, like, everybody's, like, physique seems quite realistic given their situations and what they're doing. But, yeah, so it depends. Like, we don't necessarily see them their body types being any advantage in the TV show other than their smaller size. You know what I mean? But even, like, when you see Ellie's back in the TV show, it's not as lean in terms of, like, muscular, which makes sense and then you also see that change in Ellie, because you see her in that moment, and then you see her body when she's in California, and how skinny she is, and how there's even, like, a little bit of loss of some muscle there, or, like, there's just, like, no fat existent on her body, because she's probably been, like, just on the road and going and just eating, like, the bare minimum that she needs to survive, because she's driven so much by her revenge. That's like that's kind of where, like, the body types come into play, is not only into developing their characters into who they are, like, within the game, you know what I mean, up to that point, like, how they're fighters, how they're survivors, how they build up their muscles, how they're able to carry stuff, how, like, you know what I mean, like, you can definitely get that all from the body type, but then you also have to think about the epilogue, and when you see Abby and how skinny she is, hanging on the pole, you know what I mean, how much muscle Abby has lost. You know what I mean? How you see Ellie's body just so skinny and almost frail. You know what I mean? That is also very important too as well. Will we get that in the TV show? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? You know what I mean? Because now that is also something that you do lose. You know what I mean? In terms of just, like, a visual representation of what has happened to somebody, both in just, like, their motivation for, like, grief, but also when they were turned into a slave. You know what I mean? So, I mean, they obviously can't change it now, because it's already established as Abby not being yoked, unfortunately for us. But, it does play a part in the narrative, in telling the narrative without shoving it down your throat in exposition, like they do in the TV show. So it'll be very interesting to kind of see, how they handle the California stuff, if you don't have that, you know what I mean? And obviously, it also goes into how much time they have to prepare for their roles. By the time they're, like, either offered or they audition for it, you know what I mean? And when you get the role versus when you're actually shooting is actually probably a very small time frame for most people. I hope they can find an alternative situation to that. Yeah, maybe. Maybe they'll pull the Gale from the Hunger Games and CGI their body skinny. Not a Gale. Not Gale. It's Peeta. Peeta's the one that's skinny in Mockingjay. Not Gale. Not Gale. Oh my god, I can't believe I said that. I mean, yeah, they'll have to do something for, like, I don't know if they will, but at this point, we know the writers don't necessarily care about the narrative and having something like that matter to the narrative. So they just don't care. So we probably won't see it at all. Or they probably won't think about it or do anything to it. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like they are shoving down the exposition down your throat of explaining everything rather than letting you experience it for yourself, which I feel like they never did in season 1. So it's so crazy that they feel like they have to do it in season 2, because they don't think their audience is smart enough to understand what's happening. Even though I do. Before you explained it to me, I understand it all. Even if I remove myself completely from the game, I understand it. You know what I mean? It's just so crazy to me how, again, how nothing had to be justified within the last episode, but everything has to be justified in every other episode besides the episode 6. Yeah, it's just, again, the writing is all over the place. Here. She was a kid. Scar, what else? Ellie going to Scar Island is going to be in the game. You can't justify killing a kid. Why did I write that? I think that was in response to when they were like that. They said that when Ellie wanted to go after the Scar kid, that the wolves were going after. Need the writers from the Penguin. We need the writers from the... Oh, girl. Ramses. They did so good with the Penguin. I'm talking character arcs over episodes. I'm talking character arcs in episodes. I'm talking flashbacks in episodes. Like, they did so good. It was chef's kiss. It was beautiful. It was beautiful because you knew the writers. Well, there is also a lot more comic book material out there than there is the video games. The Pequin. Oh, I love that. I haven't seen that before. The Pequin. I might just watch that also as a palate cleanser. But you know what? I could watch it as a palate cleanser, and I'm also playing Batman Arkham City. So I can also use that again to motivate why I have to kill the Penguin. Even though Batman doesn't kill. I'm gonna kick his ass. Yeah, and I think it's because, like, I wrote Ellie on Scar Island was gonna be in the game, and then she was a kid that she sees a Scar that could have been saved, right? And I put, you can't justify killing a kid, because it's just, like, Ellie wanting to save them, but, like, I was thinking in my brain, it was something about Ellie wanting to save them, but then Ellie was also a kid. Oh, it was that, like, Ellie, how the kid was like, oh no, hang up Ellie, you know what I mean? But she was also a kid killing people. She was a kid killing people, you know what I mean, in the first game, and also in the first TV show, right? But, like, they also are sort of like with this, it's this weird, like, not killing a kid sort of thing, but then Ellie does it, so it makes her a horrible person, but then also, like, it's just this weird thing. It's this weird kid thing that they're doing in the TV show, to where I'm just like, okay, like, you need to find the consistency and the continuity within everything. You know what I mean? And they just don't care. Ellie isn't skilled enough. Lost? Question mark. Why did I put lost? Question mark. Ellie isn't selfless. Jesse's selflessness got him killed. I put no Lev. 0 out of 10. Honestly, the episode might be a 0 out of 10 for not choosing Lev. I'm just saying. My boy Lev. Yeah, so then you see kind of like they're trying to drive home the narrative how selfish Joel was, but it's like it's like the TV show, like the way you're able to come up with your own conclusions and your own analysis and your own feelings and your own morals within the game are being so ripped apart within the TV show. It's losing me as a viewer, and they're losing my trust, because it's like, okay, you're making Ellie so selfish. Okay, you're saying Joel's selfish. Okay, you're saying Jesse's selfless, but he dies anyway. So is it only the selfish people that get to live? Yeah, that's kind of true about life, but like also it's just like part of it is coming up with your own conclusions, and that's why the second game is so divisive, because you're able to come up with your own conclusions. Even with Abby coming after Joel because of what he did, you're still able to come up with your own conclusions about, did Joel deserve what he got? Did Joel deserve what, like, happened to him? And you're also able to kind of come with your own conclusions, like, in going after Abby into going after her in California. You know what I mean? Like, it is all driven towards the narrative of just, like, revenge is bad, but in a way, it still has the second game enough of, like, you to come up with your own opinion in there. That's why I feel like partially the second game is so divisive, but the TV show is just so absent of that. You know what I mean? I feel like the second game, it's kind of like, oh, they're painting the illusion that you are coming up with your own justification, your own morals, your own ideas, your own thoughts about what is happening in the second game. It kind of feels more like an illusion. You know what I mean? But the illusion still makes me feel like I am. You know what I mean? Like when I played Ghost of Tsushima for the first time and I felt like I was becoming the ghost. Obviously, the game was made to make me feel that way, but I still felt like I was doing it myself in my own decision making. You know what I mean? Like I was playing Until Dawn or something and not like a story-driven narrative game like Ghost of Tsushima. You know what I mean? Versus like just kind of the TV show is just shoving down its ideas that it wants you to feel down your throat rather than letting their audience be smart enough to do that. You can look at it also as like more recent narratives that are able to let the audience think for itself, like Sinners. You know what I mean? In the way you feel about like everything in that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just like, I don't know, they're just like, it doesn't treat its audience like it's dumb. You know what I mean? There's not an over explanation of to why the Irish guy is there, why he's doing what he's doing. There is like a little bit of just like a little sort of monologue sequence that he has, you know what I mean? But to at the end though, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, like that movie is so amazing, right? And it never tells you how to feel. It never tells you like what to believe, what not to believe. You know what I mean? Sure, it has its perspective and its sort of thing, but like you can deeply analyze that in such a really cool, interesting way. But yeah, the writers all need to be fired, okay? And the other thing is just like, you're also probably getting writers who are getting bullet points for the game or are again watching the cinematics and have not lived with this game for over 10 years, this narrative. And the second game is 10 years old, but the characters are over 10 years old in existence in our lives. And sure, fans of the games have been overanalyzing the first game and the second game, maybe to their own detriment, but like at the same time, it's like they never truly played it. You know what I mean? Like they are not understanding the motivations, the character arcs, the anything to do with the second game, and it's just like taking the narrative and it's just like not doing the characters any justice whatsoever. I'm talking about The Last of Us now, the TV show. So a lot of my faults are with the writing, but when they do, it's like they justified all the action because people kept wanting the action in the game, but then sometimes the action was the best part of the episodes. And none of the writing, I don't like how they wrote Dina. For her to be like you can justify having her there, but you don't necessarily always have to present conflict there. You know what I mean? Like you can totally justify her hanging back and getting intel. That's her purpose. That could be her purpose, and that's fine for Dina. You know what I mean? I mean, Dina necessarily has more depth to her as a character, but and the purpose for Ellie, but like I don't necessarily how they kind of make Dina being a cheater, and then also kind of just her hopping on whoever's convenient at the time. But then she loves Joel, but then when she understands what he did, it changes everything. I don't like how they wrote Jesse in the last episode. They got him till they didn't, until it was convenient for them. Probably one of the worst season finales I've ever seen. Probably the worst Last of Us episode, 4 out of 10. Did I say 4 out of 10? 4 out of 10 for me. The only thing they did right was kill Jesse. And, what else did they do? I wrote kill Jesse and I wrote something else. It was earlier, I thought. Essentially, I feel like that was it. Oh, the Sky Bridge. Sky Bridge and Jesse's death are kind of like the only good parts about the video. And that is so bad when I'm like, you know what the best part of the episode was when like my favorite character from the game died. Or one of the most likable, the favorite one, the one you were rooting for, the one you were happy to be around, the one you wanted to be with in the game when he died. When he died. Like they did that well. What? What? They did that well and the Skybridge tease. And that was it. 4 out of 10. It makes me, I want to see Abby's story because I want to see Caitlin Dever, and I want to see all the cool stuff that was in the game, but the writing is, like, going to be so bad, and a location, LOL, yeah, the bookstore was kind of cool, you know, yeah, that's all I got for y'all. That's really all I do. I don't think it was a good season finale. Horrible. Yeah, it just sort of also makes, I feel like when you look at the entirety of the season, make it be like, I don't necessarily want to watch it again. Like, episode 6, Justified, episode 2 has some cool sequences, but the rest of it, I don't care to watch again. I don't care to experience again. I'm gonna just play the game till I die, if I want to experience the narrative. And it's sad when you have such a controversial and highly critical game be now, in retrospect, being praised because of what they were doing. Score for season 2. Isn't it just the same as the game? Oh, score over. I thought you meant the score as like the soundtrack. My bad. Score for season 2. Gosh. Oh, I said 5 out of 10. I give it a 5 out of 10 just because, like, when the highs are just, like, so high that it works for it, but then there's so much more faults that I have with the narratives and the arcs and the motivations and where they go with it, that it's, like, a 5 out of 10. Like, I wouldn't recommend it. I'd be like, yeah, there's these cool sequences you can watch, but that's it. I'd be like, you know, you can watch the first 2 episodes and you don't gotta watch it after that. That's all you really need to know. They don't really do anything justice by the end. You know what I mean? Like, anything that happens in Seattle, I kind of don't care about. Which is so sad, right? Because, like, it's again, they kind of said they don't know how to write Dina in it, but, like, Dina's, like, a supporting character. She's Ellie's kind of like ride or die. She's always with her. Like, it's so unnecessary to introduce all the conflicts that they introduce. It's not essential to the narrative. It doesn't do anything for the narrative because any conflict that they introduce and any changes that they made just gets by the end of the episode. That just like, you're just like, oh, so it didn't even need to happen for any reason because it literally changed nothing. So yeah, 5 out of 10 overall for the entirety of the season. If you want to get more of my thoughts on the game, it is pre-season 2 narratives of it. I did play the second game twice on my channel. I have the remastered version, the PS5 version, that I played in anticipation for this season. So it is a very much, my commentary on it is from that perspective. And then I have my other playthrough of the PS4 version, which would be I've already played the game when it came out, so those playthroughs are me having already played the game. And then again, my PS5 remastered playthrough of it is in anticipation of the television show, so the commentary is much more geared towards that. So I can't necessarily give which one would be much more of an honest interpretation of everything. Maybe my Last of Us Part 2, the OG PS4 playthrough of it, may have a bit more of an honest, just standalone reaction to it. But again, I played it before. But you can sort of find my thought. It's so weird because I'm like, you can find my thoughts kind of Easter egg throughout my playthroughs of it, both of them, but then also my episode analysis of the TV show. It's so bad, but it's so true. So yeah, I am only excited to watch Abby because of Caitlin Dever. And more Isaac. Please, more Isaac. That's all I need. Caitlin Dever, Isaac, Uncle Tommy going ham. And it's just they did such a poor job. They did such a good job of season 1. I don't understand how this is a result of season 2. If you truly understood the characters from the game that they did in season 1, this should not be the result of season 2. And it's poor, lazy writing, inspired by The Walking Dead, in weird ways, in sequences, in hordes, in C-sections, in their poor, lazy writing of The Walking Dead. You sort of get the poor, lazy writing here. But yeah, so they should have put me in, coach. She's just a PA, but she knows what good writing when she sees it, okay? But yeah, so it's just, yeah, overall some bangers. Will there be any other shows you're willing to review / live stream? It depends. This one, because this is a gaming channel, and I do, I guess, sort of explore much more in certain playthroughs that I do whenever I talk about, like, oh, I watched this movie this weekend, and I thought about this, you know what I mean, when I go on a rant. Like, video game related? Yeah, for sure. Like, Season 3 of The Last of Us, yes. Maybe... I don't want to say, like, any future, like, DC HBO series, because I'd have to include, like, Peacemaker, and I'm not caught up on that, but, like, anything maybe Penguin-related, I'd be willing to do. Game of Thrones might be fun to do, in that way, but, again, it does work in, like, when they're released weekly, episodically, versus, like, if I watch all of, I don't know, like the Siren in like one binge, you know what I mean? I don't know if it necessarily works that way, you know what well, unless I feel really driven to do it, but I don't know if it's like something that's all released at once on like Netflix or something, probably not, just because the way that they're written is kind of different, you know what I mean? But any weekly kind of HBO series that comes across, like anything Penguin like, anything Last of Us like, I'm trying to think, like, would I be willing to do it for any more future Star Wars projects? I don't know. I probably, like, are Marvel projects? I don't think so. Because, like, the Marvel projects, nobody cares about anymore. In terms of the TV shows. And I'm trying to think, like, I love the Star Wars series, but I haven't watched any new Star Wars series since Season 2 of The Mandalorian, unfortunately, and I love Star Wars, and you know I love Star Wars. Peacemaker is so good. Yeah, but then it'd be Season 1 I'd watch, and then it comes out after Superman, which I plan on watching Superman. I don't know too much about Peacemaker, and I mainly know DC superheroes, like Batman, and that stuff. I'm not too much in tune with a whole lot of other DC villains and like superheroes and stuff. Well, it kind of depends, because like I watched like Justice League when I was younger, but like, you know what I mean. So it depends. It depends if it comes out at a convenient time, and if it makes sense to me, then yeah. But yeah, it'd have to be something like episodic weekly, because that's what makes it fun. Because then it's like, oh, live stream just happened, you could talk about it. And I really did enjoy doing these live streams. I thought they were really fun, and it made me really analyze writing in a different way that I never did before. Especially taking notes with it. Because I mean, I went to film school, so there's obviously media analysis classes for there. Then obviously I always watch like YouTube videos on that sort of stuff, of sort of analyzing narratives and stuff like that. But then also doing it for myself is really cool. Then also I understand it in a different way, because I also not only went to film school, but I work in the film industry. And I've worked on some pretty great critically acclaimed series, also not so critically acclaimed series. Like like I worked on Dark Winds, which is highly critically acclaimed. I did season 2, currently on season 4. Weekly does make it way more fun to speculate on stuff. It does. That's what's fun about it. But then I also work on stuff like, I had fun. It was fun. Now it's kind of like sad. Now I'm kind of sad because I'm like, oh, I won't be live streaming for a minute. Like Ransom Canyon. Like, I think the narrative's good, but I also love rom-com stuff like that. Like a little soapy, a little, you know what I mean? Like, I thought it was, well, I mean, it came out a lot better than I thought it was gonna be, but like, kind of like, I don't know, like that's my favorite show I've ever worked on, but it's not like the most critically acclaimed best Netflix new series, Ransom Canyon, you know what I mean? Like, it's not even greenlit for season 2 yet. But like, I don't know, like I'm proud of that one, but like, it's not the most critically acclaimed. Like, some people call it dumb, but it's highly entertaining, you know what I mean? And I certainly have opinions about some of the writing and how the edits came out, but that is beyond my control because I was just a cute little PA on set. But yeah, it just really depends on the series, what comes out, what comes our way, what comes out weekly. Like, I don't even think I want to do it. I don't think I can do it. Because I worked on season 4 and season 5 of Stranger Things. So I was like, oh, if they grouply do, like, I can't ever do a series I work on and analyze narratives like I did here and how good a quality is. That just seems like, ugh, that just seems icky to me. But then also that just, like, I'm so, like, because I worked on it, I'm obviously going to be more biased there. But, like, how they wanted to release Stranger Things in, like, 3 parts or something. I can't do that series because, again, I worked on season 4 and I did, like, one day on season 5 and I feel weird doing that series. But that would be, like, something I would want to do, but I will not do it because I worked on it. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Anything I ever work on, I can't do any of this type of videos for. So I hope I never work on anything cool ever again. Just kidding. Yeah, I mean, it just really has to, I feel like, also it works in it being like like, the thing with, like, if it's like a Netflix series and it's like, say it is like Squid Game's released in 3 parts, do I want to do video analysis of it? Sure, that might be fun. You know what I mean? But it has to come out in, like, a timely way of just, like, after it. Like, do I wait, like, a week? Do I kind of sit on it for a minute? Because what's kind of fun about these is I just sort of write down my thoughts and we kind of go straight off the brain. You know what I mean? And I gotta stand on my business of what I said. But, yeah, no, this was definitely fun. I do plan on doing it for season 3, unfortunately. It may be a lot more me complaining, but hello. But yeah, I do plan on doing this. I do plan on getting conflict of interest. Yeah. It definitely is a conflict of interest, which makes me kind of worried about how much more, like, do I just do it for, like, a cool series, or is it a legitimate conflict of interest in my future career? Oopsies. But maybe, well, I wouldn't say I hope this is a future career because I love my job. Yeah, so, yeah, this was so much fun to do. I do plan on doing it for sure for season 3. I'm kind of thinking, I'm like, do I do it for Fallout? I don't even know, for season 2 of that, which was so close to coming to my state, and then it went away, and now there's only one show going on right now, and I'm working on it. Yeah, so, like, I don't know, we'll kind of see if I do Peacemaker. I really love the Suicide Squad 2 movie. I I plan on watching Superman, which makes me kind of think I gotta watch Peacemaker, season 1, because I could do kind of like season 2. I saw the trailer for that. That looks fun. So we'll definitely see about that, but I'm not as in tune with that character, as maybe some other people might be. So yeah, it just depends. It depends on if I do it for future Disney stuff. Fallout? Yeah, season 2 of Fallout. The game. But yeah, no, I had fun doing this because it kind of stretches my brain of the writing side of me, because all my critique in college was that I needed more help with my writing. So it kind of makes me, and I think also just having to do like video game analysis type stuff too, like when I reach the end of a game, also kind of like helps that side of my brain. Not that I ever plan on writing anything, but it definitely exercises that part of it and my understanding of stories and arcs and motivations and characters and stuff. So I've loved doing this. It has been a really, really fun time doing these videos. I do hope to kind of do them in the future. Again, it depends on what series we get, what comes out, you know what I mean? Like, I could also doing this for Handmaid's Tale, you know what I mean? But I also got to read the room, and I know that this is a gaming channel first, you know what I mean, before it is a television movie analysis channel that also goes in part with my career. It's always fun to analyze with other people, so this was great. And that's what I like doing a live stream for, because it's like in real time you could talk about it, versus like making like a video separate from the live stream, you know what I mean? So I think that's what's also fun about it, is you gotta do it live, you know what I mean? But like, would it be cool to do video analysis of Sinners? Yeah, but then do I have the time? And do I feel like doing that? Nah. But it's always fun. If you haven't watched my Last of Us playthroughs, I do hope you check those out. Again, the more recent ones are going to be the better quality ones. Yeah, I can't wait to play more games for you guys because I have a few days off, or a few days where I'm not doing anything, so I'll be able to play some games for you guys. I do hope you do stick around. We will be back for season 3, and you know, whatever future series kind of scratches that itch, you know what I mean, to where I feel it necessary to do this. And then if not, normally whatever game I'm probably playing around the time something comes out, I speak about it, you know what I mean? Like, not everything, like if I'm playing, like, I don't know, if I play like Resident Evil 4 this fall and I talk about like Dairy, you know, the Welcome to Dairy series, you know what I mean? Like, obviously whatever game I'm playing during that time is going to be in a time capsule surrounded by whatever media I'm consuming at that time. But yes, this was fun. This is a very long goodbye. Again, we'll plan on doing it in the future. Don't know necessarily for what or for when, but thank you for joining me for these live streams. It was very fun. It was very scary to do at first, but I feel very comfortable with it now and expressing more of my opinions, as I should. And thank you for Joey. Thank you for wanting to share your opinions. And I will not be wasting another great field note from my boss on this horrendous series. So, we'll see what happens. Season 3 will be a long ways away, but we will be there for that. And for now, I don't know, other video analysis, I don't know. I don't know how to say, like, check out my other than, like, check out my Last of Us playthrough, but also check out my other series, like Assassin's Creed Shadows and Batman Arkham City. So yes, thank you so much for joining me. This has been fun. I can't wait to do when we meet again in like a live stream fashion like this. But yeah, this was like extra long video because now I'm at, like, most of them were like barely an hour, I feel like I was doing, but then I also would have work the next day and I don't got work tomorrow, so there's that. And I'm probably just gonna play The Last of Us after this. So there is that. I'm also a little hungry right now, but it's also almost 11 o'clock at night. But thank you so much for joining me for this. It has been a great pleasure of mine. I'm glad you have also enjoyed it too as well. And I will catch you in the next gaming video or eventually in the next live stream series. So thank you so much. It was so much fun. And yeah, my mouth is tired from yapping so much. Who would have thought? Thank you so much. Love you. I'll see you next time. Bye.